vertices and 3 sides, which are straight line segments.
That, class, is the definition of a traditional triangle. But today, we're not here to discuss a traditional triangle. Oh no! The subject of today's lesson is a particular 3-sided enigma that resides somewhere between exhilaration and acceleration. Far from rational, deep in the Poconos, where a triangle and an oval become a tri-oval. 3 sides, long, longer, way longer, the longest in NASCAR. 3 turns, sharp, sharper, and dang, I hope the brakes work. Here, 3 is the magical number, where geometry, physics, and horsepower are hammered into one. The triangle, representing masculinity, harmony, and creativity, all properties necessary for victory! 3, representing the union of force, fame, and the men geared up for the challenge. Johnson, Kane, Hamlin, courage, power, skill, Bush, Harvick, Stewart, man, machine, will. A 3-turn race to triumph. NASCAR, Pocono, now! Any questions?
What a unique triangle, and what a unique speedway this is. 3 corners, all with different shapes and banking. 3 straightaways, all of different length, including the longest single straightaway in NASCAR. It's the Tricky Triangle, the Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania, ready to host the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series for a 66th time, a 500-mile challenge of car and driver that can best be described in a word as different. But different sure can be fun. Thank you.
Now let's go to a talented trio in our pit studio, and just like the turns here at Pocono, they also vary in shape and size.
Yes, we do, Doc. But we're sitting in a rectangle. Strangely enough, after we spent the last few minutes talking about a triangle, our ESPN pit studio overlooking the entrance to the Sprint Cup garage here at Pocono Raceway, and we welcome you to our coverage of NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing. Alan Bestwick, Rusty Wallace, and Brad Daugherty. So the nature of the properties of this particular triangle, be it isosceles or, as Casey said, Bermuda.
I like that, yeah.
All right, really, Rusty, why is the place so tough?
Every single corner's tough. I mean, they're completely different. Turn 1, a high speed over 200 miles an hour going into turn 1. You got to negotiate through that, then get to the tunnel turn. And turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3 are different banking, different size, different speeds. In order to be successful here, though, you've got to be good in every single one of them. Now, that's not the answer you're going to get from a lot of different drivers. They're going to say, oh, I got to pick one. It's going to be 1, the tunnel turn, or turn 3. I would say my most fun turn is a tunnel turn, but above all, you got to be good in all of them.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this racetrack is like Rusty's saying, you have to vary, though, how you get there. These race cars are not very pliable. You usually can come, you set up, you work on them all day Friday, and you can get them to do one thing very, very well, whether it be turn, whether it be get off the corner, whatever. But you can very rarely get these race cars to do 2 things. Here, you got to do 3 because the corners are so very different. And the guy who hits the setup and gets maybe 2 of those 3 usually wins this race.
So you look at this racetrack and you say, well, how did it come to be shaped like this, so differently than the others? Well, when they were building this place in the late 1960s, it was modeled after 3 popular IndyCar venues of the day, because IndyCars were what was king in this part of the country at that time. Turn 1, remember the old Trenton Speedway?
Oh, yeah, raced there one time at Trenton. Really tough turn 1, so I can totally understand how that'd be a tricky corner there.
Turn number 2, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where we were last week, the 9-degree banking and those 4 square corners, if you will, the rectangular. And then turn 3, Milwaukee.
Oh, Milwaukee, the flat flat mile, and this racetrack picks up that corner. It is a perfect fit for this track. As you come off of turn 3, just like Casey Kane said, you got to get her launched to get down that front straightaway.
Now, from our aerial shot, you can see it is very overcast today, and you can hear maybe a little bit in the background some of the jet dryers still at work out on this racetrack. There were some showers this morning. There's a look at the live radar. There are some showers in the area as far back as that particular radar site picks up. The forecast calls for a 40 to 50% chance of showers during the time of the race this afternoon. We will just have to see how it plays out as we go along. The weather was beautiful here on Friday when they had qualifying.
What a beautiful view from high above. Do you see the campgrounds? Up 30% from last year as we get ready to go trackside here for the Sprint Cup race at Pocono.
Ladies and gentlemen, we direct your attention to the Victory Lane stage. On stage, we have a total of 10 stars with our visiting generals here today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our 4 guest generals as Grand Marshals will say the most famous words in all of racing.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Bring them up, gang. Bring them up. All right. Fired up. All right. Thank you. What time was that forecast, Alan? You just look good.
I'm sort of surprised nobody didn't salute and say, yes, sir. I mean, that much brass. Give me the command. I know what I'd be doing, and we are fired and ready. I hope you're getting fired up as well. Our in-race reporter is going to be the winner just last week out, Jamie McMurray. There he is from the inside view. When we come back, we'll talk to the man who won earlier this year at Daytona and just last week at the Brickyard 400. Cars rolling off pit road here at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Pocono, presented by Aaron's at Long Pond, Pennsylvania. And a little bit earlier, Kenyatta Houston, remember he did double duty, waving to Delana Harvick, and she's going, what's that? Oh, you're the over-the-wall reporter. That's right. Today they're on different teams. Last night they were together. First of our 3 pace laps as we're getting ready to go racing here, and that's our in-race reporter. We'll talk to Jamie McMurray in just a moment, but we also have onboard cameras with Kurt Busch, Mark Martin, Denny Hamlin, Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and David Rudiman. We mentioned the fact Jamie McMurray is our in-race reporter. Let's talk to him, DJ.
Hey, Jamie, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy? Hey, Jamie, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yeah, loud and clear. You got me?
Yeah, I got you, Jamie. Hey, let me say, first off, congratulations. Welcome to the club, buddy. And our first question comes from Heather in Taylor, Arizona. She says, after winning the 2 biggest races of the Sprint Cup season, Daytona 500 and Brickyard 400, how does it affect your preparation for today's race at Pocono?
Well, it's amazing in racing how after just 7 days, I mean, you're just focused on this weekend and getting this car to be good. So last weekend was great, and it's cool for Bass Pro Shops and McDonald's and Target and Chip Ganassi Racing for all those wins. But we're at Pocono now, and let's go out this weekend and try to do our best job again. So not really thinking about last weekend right now, just focused on today.
All right, as you focused on today and getting ready yesterday's practice sessions, we know this is a tricky racetrack. Is there one spot or 2 spots that you focus on more than others in getting your car good for this racetrack?
Well, you just got to be good everywhere, and this has been a tough place for me. I've run here good a few times, and this has been a hard place. But it's just about getting a good balance everywhere. We've got our car set up where it drives pretty good. It didn't seem to have a lot of speed, but it handled well. So I'm hoping that that's going to pay off. But with the rain coming last night, I don't know what we're going to have today. It'll be interesting these first few laps.
All right, man. Thanks for talking with us. Hey, I figure anytime we got our name in the record book besides Jimmy Johnson, it's a pretty good deal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, have a good day. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Kevin Mannion.
Hey, Bono, Andy Petrie up here in the booth. You got us?
It's loud and clear, Andy.
Hey, Kevin, these 2 tracks, Pocono and Indy, are a lot alike. People compare them a lot of times, but they're obviously different shapes. How different is the setup between the 2 tracks?
That's a great question, Andy. It's quite a bit different here down in turn 1 in the tunnel turn. Even turn 3 a little bit of bumpy. Turn 1 very extremely bumpy. The ride is completely different here. We got at Indy you can be a little bit lower to the ground and let the suspension just kind of ride on them springs and on them bump stops. Here you got to have a little give and take. You got to let the splitter work up and down to get through the bumps. That's probably the biggest change we got.
Okay, Kevin, good luck today. Thanks for talking to us, and hope you have as good a strategy this week as you did last week, buddy.
All right, guys, thanks a lot.
Oh, what a great view down the stretch there as they head towards the tunnel turn. Obviously, the man who's going to be leading him to the green flag is going to be Tony Stewart. His average finish when he starts first, 7.5. Across the top of the screen, you'll notice that your favorite drivers, the 43 that are going to take the green flag, 2 that did not qualify, Max Pappas and David Stremme. We do have 2 going to the rear, Scott Speed and PJ Jones. They are both in backup cars. Now, quickly, we want to send a shout out to Vince Welch, his son Dylan, and a member of our IndyCar crew, Tom Hayes. They were involved in a car accident earlier this week. All are going to be okay. They're fine. Vince is home. Sending you our best. Vinny, we'll see you back here soon. Let's get the latest from pit road. First up, Jamie Little.
Well, Marty, with 4 wins, including the last 2, you can never count Denny Hamlin out here at Pocono. But as the team has described all weekend, they have been struggling. All 3 practice sessions, they adjusted and adjusted more, only to go back to the way they unloaded. But they are optimistic at this point. In fact, Joe Gibbs, the owner of this team, came up to me just moments ago and reminded me what a great weekend they've had already. Friday night at X Games, they went and they got the gold and the silver. They brought that home. And, of course, last night, Kyle Busch won the nationwide race. So they have a lot of momentum on their side. Mike?
Jamie, for the second straight year, Juan Pablo Montoya dominated at Indianapolis, leading the most laps, but did not come away with the victory. Just hours after that race, I spoke with his car owner, Chip Ganassi, asking him how that might affect Juan. He joked and said he's probably already over it. Juan confirmed that this week, saying it only took him a few minutes and then he was thinking about the next race. The same, however, cannot be said for his crew chief, Brian Patty. I spoke with him earlier this weekend and he said he was absolutely devastated. He won't be able to shake that one off until he actually kisses those bricks. He won't be kissing any bricks today, but a victory would go a long way in putting that behind them. The car is very good. After all, they do start on the outside pole, Doc.
Well, Mike, with all due respect to Denny Hamlin, most people in the garage area will tell you don't have to have the fastest car to win here at Pocono, because this unique triangular racetrack lends itself to some strange pit strategies. For example, number 1, if you're within 15 seconds of the leader, you can pit under green and not lose a lap. How good is that? Number 2, well, 2 tires are pretty much the way to go here, because track position is much more important than those new left side tires. And if that doesn't work, you can always, number 3, depend on fuel mileage and roll the dice. If you get some caution flags, these long straightaways, you just flip the engine off and let it coast. And here's the best part, folks. All 3 of those can come to bear in the final 10 laps of this race and totally change the complexion of the race. So stay tuned.
That is great info, Doc, and we'll be keeping our eyes on all those elements. Our leader bringing them to the green flag is going to be Tony Stewart. Let's listen in on the radio.
All right, buddy, the weather looks pretty good for right now. We'll keep you updated if that changes. These new fire seats, they got a funky new smell in them. I think we need to get a little beer and champagne on them. What do you think? Yeah, that normally fixes them right away.
Great conversation as Tony is looking like he's going to take the outside here as we get ready to go green. Our race analysis, we're going to go around this 2.5-mile track 200 times for a total of 500 miles. Don't go over 55 miles an hour or you get busted for speeding. Our pit window, as you see there, and the uniqueness of this track, the 3 different corners with 3 different sets of banking. Leading the way to the green flag, of course, is the Chevy pace car. What a great view out the back as they are making their way towards turn number 3. Any final thoughts before we go green, gentlemen?
I think you're just going to have to take it easy here in this first little bit. You don't want to get yourself in trouble. We have a competition yellow coming up soon, lap 15.
Yeah, and the one thing, too, is I see Tony Stewart took that outside lane. I'm thinking he wants to put Montoya down in those bumps down in turn 1 and can get a little tricky down there on the low side of turn 1.
Well, for Stewart Montoya, here's the good news. 6 of the last 10 Pocono races have been won from the front row. And as the pace car pulls into pit road, the 21st race of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is green. through turn number 1. Plenty of space. Everybody giving each other room.
Yeah, I thought about taking it easy. Jeff Gordon was pushing Tony Stewart the entire way down the front straightaway when they got the green.
Worked out pretty good for Tony. He got the lead there by that little push.
Kurt Busch, and getting word that Greg Biffle may have scraped the wall.
Well, what a great run Greg had last week at Indy. I'm sure he was hoping that was going to carry over to today. I hope he didn't hurt his car too much there.
Yeah, we've seen these cars be pretty durable, so hopefully it's not much damage there.
Biffle finished 3rd last week at Indy as they come through turn number 3. Down the front straight in front of this big crowd. They stuck it out through the 35-minute delay, and leading lap number 1 is Tony Stewart with Montoya. Now 3rd with Jeff Gordon officially in 2nd. Jimmy Johnson 4th. Denny Hamlin rounds out your top 5. Zero in on the 43 and the 29. How about A.J. Allmendinger and Kevin Harvick side by side? And whoa, look at Sam Hornish trying to stick his nose underneath.
Yeah, just what Andy was talking about. Those bumps down the bottom got Allmendinger a little bit loose right there. He wasn't able to stay in the throttle, and Harvick takes that spot.
Yeah, for the same reason, you can see there that Sam Hornish couldn't take advantage of it because he was down there in that rough part of the racetrack as well and couldn't get the run.
Harvick right now shown in the 11th position, and you saw the view out the back, and here they come down the Long Pond Straight. Jimmy Johnson had a momentary run on the 42. He's got the low line.
Now you can see Jimmy Johnson working part of that racetrack that's not new. That advantage has gone away a little bit, although it's still slick down on the bottom.
Yeah, and when I talked to these guys, I was asking them, can you make a pass down on the bottom of turn 3? They said, you really have to have a good race car because you just lose so much grip by the time you get the exit of the corner.
Stewart and Gordon trying to open up some distance between Johnson and Montoya, who are running 3rd and 4th. And my question always, when we know we have a competition caution coming up to check tires, why is everybody racing so hard?
Well, just because it's a race, Marty. We put that green out, everybody's going to go hard. Look at Gordon now. He's really got to run on Stewart, and Stewart lets him go.
Yeah, and there's no better way to judge your tires and everything than running hard, seeing what your car's going to do. What direction is it going to go in?
That's the only way you can expose any weakness in your chassis setup or anything. You've got to push it to the limit. If you don't, you won't know what you have to have later.
So we've had our first lead change. Let's check back a little bit further and check in with Denny Hamlin as Jeff Burton has gone around him. So bump Hamlin back to 6th, Burton up to 5th.
Well, Jeff Burton way down on the bottom of the racetrack, and I haven't seen a car work that well on the bottom here in a while.
Yeah, and when I spoke with Jeff yesterday during the practice sessions, he was saying if he could just get a little bit more rear grip with his race car, he thought that he had the piece to win this race today.
He's had a winning race car so many races this year that he's due anyway, and he's having a great run so far.
Well, how about our race leader? We could say the same thing about Jeff Gordon. As you can see there, a little bit further back, there is Dale Earnhardt Jr., got Kyle Busch right behind him, and now Sam Hornish. You see Hornish is sort of falling back. He is in the clutches there. That is 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Yeah, both the 88 and 18 are making their way forward from their starting position, so that's good to see. They've got good handling cars here to start this race.
David Reagan also in the mix going around Hornish, so Sam going in the wrong direction. Here comes Ruderman and the 12 of Brad Keselowski.
That's another car going in the wrong direction. Keselowski, he started up there in about the 11th spot. Now he's moved back about 10 places since the start.
Yeah, we've seen the last couple of weeks, Indy and here, that he had a good starting position as we see teammates here racing.
A.J. Allmendinger on the right side of your screen, Casey Kane on the high side.
But these were teammates that created that huge crash at the end of the first race.
I don't think they want to be reminded of that. Everything sort of calms down. Now, word was that the 9 of Casey Kane, and we mentioned the 16 of Greg Biffle, both brushed the wall early in this race. Let's watch.
Yeah, there's one inside there. Got the run coming in your pair there.
Same turn. Here we go.
Yeah, there's seldom a lot of grip up in that part of the racetrack anyway, especially in a situation where we've had rain. So you can see it. Now, it looked like actually Kevin Harvick in front of the 9 got a little piece of the wall also.
Jimmy Johnson on the outside gets around Tony Stewart for 2nd. So Hendrick Motorsports, who couldn't find the top 10 last week, are running 1-2 right now. And for Jeff Gordon, it's now the 13th race he's led this year, the 21st time he's led at Pocono. But we've only run 5 of 200 laps. We've got our own excitement going on right here. Out front, the 2 teammates, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, they have checked out by over a second from 3rd place. Tony Stewart, Jeff Burton has gotten around Juan Pablo Montoya for 4th. Montoya 5th. Denny Hamlin rounds out your top 6. And if you're talking about manufacturers, guys, Chevy owns the top 5 spots and now a total of 8 of the top 10. 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. has gotten around Joey Logano. Here comes Kyle Busch, going to take a look underneath. Saw a little wisp of smoke out of the 18.
Yeah, I saw it actually out of both cars right there. These Gibbs cars do that. You'll see it quite often, especially on these flat tracks. They have some smoke coming out on the splitter, exhaust, brakes. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, that's a pretty impressive pass right there. You can take your car down to the bottom of the racetrack in one and still be able to power up on the exit of that corner and make the pass.
Move Kyle up to 15th. Talked a little bit about bump drafting. As let's go back and show you exactly what we're talking about. As we got a great shot of it right here.
Yeah, most of the time we talk about this at Daytona and Talladega, but these straightaways are long enough, the speed's fast enough, you can see just how much that means. Dale Jr. getting into Joey Logano, just pushing him down the back straightaway into turn 2.
From the onboard.
Yeah, it's got to be a little unnerving for Joey Logano, wondering when that last bump draft's going to come.
16 at your door, bumper clear.
Especially getting into this tricky corner.
Yeah, you're loving it as it's helping you make that pass, but you're ready for that to end as you start turning left.
If memory serves me right, the last time somebody got into Joey in a corner was last time here, and it was Mr. Harvick. I don't think that's a memory he wants to relive.
No, that's a little more than bump drafting that took place on the last lap of that last race.
Boy, these two right now, it looks like they got the bit between their teeth because they have opened up a 2-second lead over third place, Tony Stewart. So after last week's dismal performance, where all 4 cars finished outside the top 10 for Rick Hendrick Motorsports, right now they are doing very well because Mark Martin is in 8th spot. And then you have to go down a little bit further to 14th to pick up Dale Jr.
Looks like we got teammates racing each other everywhere. You see Allmendinger and Casey Kane right there, teammates. Saw the Gibbs cars racing each other. And the 2 leaders up front are both Hendrick cars.
Yeah, McMurray's 10th, Harvick 11th, Kane and Allmendinger right behind. That gives you an idea just how big a gap they have picked up now. Where is the next Hendrick Motorsports car as we get down a little bit deeper in the field? We mentioned it was Mark Martin in 8th. He is 7 seconds behind the race leaders.
You see a good shot here of Mark Martin. Really how difficult this track is and how hard he has to work in the cockpit.
Well, the other thing you notice is just how many bumps there really are out there. Just watch how much his head moves around.
He's getting down the front straightaway now. You'll see get down in turn 1. This is the roughest part of the track. See Mark running on the bottom. That is the roughest part. And especially on the exit right there. You'll see also some more of these bumps. Mark doing a good job here. Actually shifting right there coming off the corner.
That's Ryan Newman right behind him. And that is for position. Turning laps right now in the 55.5-second range around this 2.5-mile oval. And again, Mark checks the mirrors. Back up front, Jeff Gordon starting to open up a little ground on Jimmy Johnson. It's up to 0.6 of a second. Tony Stewart still 3rd. Burton 4th.
Just a few laps away from a caution that NASCAR is going to throw, just to take a look at everything. Had all this rain and a lot of different weather conditions, they're going to have a competition caution around lap 15.
And after the almost, well, I don't want to say chaos at the beginning of the start race, it sort of has settled down, at least for now. And there is Clint Bowyer. Got a little different paint scheme for this weekend's event. Bowyer right now running in the 24th position with Martin Truex right behind him.
Yeah, but he's our biggest mover. He's moved up 16 spots. He said he was just glad that he still had the same race car after his qualifying here because he really thought that he had wrecked it coming off of turn 3. But he was telling me yesterday he was really happy with his car in race trim.
And our second biggest mover, as you see on the graphic, Scott Speed. Remember, he went to the rear because of a backup car, and he's picked up 10 spots up to 33rd.
Yeah, looking at Clint Bowyer right here, when he qualified, he was if you watched how it tracked, he was actually going to be on the pole if he could have made it through turn 3. He almost didn't make it, but he had to really slow up to try to save it. Look at this 3-wide battle.
Let's go 3 wide, heading down towards turn number 1. Casey Kane's got the inside line. Harvick's the meat in this sandwich, and you're on board with Jamie.
You can see the scrapes down the side of Kevin Harvick's car now. Look at Casey Kane getting out of shape.
Coming right back underneath him. This is getting good. Look out. McMurray almost slides to the wall.
What lap is this?
That's what I was going to say. Anybody tell me? They must know something we don't.
Hey, I think it's called a race.
Yeah, somebody said that a while ago, didn't they?
Yeah, that's what was great. Casey Kane got that huge run down into turn 1, and that draft feels really good when you can do that. But then you have to realize you got to make it through that corner then, and you saw him slide up. What great racing, great job of driving by those guys.
And they're not done with it yet. Allmendinger trying the low line, hugging the bottom of the racetrack.
Hey, look at Harvick. He just loves this 3-wide stuff.
Allmendinger gets around both of them, so he puts a little slide job on him coming out of 3. Side by side down to 1. Harvick's inside of the number 1 of McMurray.
Well, it's nice to see. We've seen a number of passes now with guys utilizing that bottom part of turn 3. That's going to make for fun racing at the end of this race if you've got 2 grooves there that are equally as good.
Working lap 16 of 200, and we are now getting our competition caution. The flag has just come out. This is because of the rain we had overnight and the showers this morning. Want to give the teams a chance to check tire wear, and I don't think anybody ever really argues with this because you want to make sure what you've got underneath you.
Yeah, and it's a great call because these racetracks, when the rubber gets worn off, Goodyear brings a good tire and gets it rubbered up, but when it wears off, then it really eats into these tires quickly, and you're not exactly sure with different setups exactly how far you can go, Andy.
Yeah, that's true, and that's why they want to look at this. But, another thing that this does is when this weather changes, a lot of teams that we heard them in our countdown show talk about didn't really know what they were going to have because the weather's different. This is going to be a chance to make the race better so everybody can make adjustments to what we have today.
Well, we've had 2 leaders so far today. Tony Stewart led the first 2 laps, then Jeff Gordon has led the next 14. Gordon is the all-time lap leader here with 879 and counting. Right behind him, a good 69 laps plus, is Jeff Bodine, and a guy by the name of Rusty Wallace is 3rd on that list. Dale Jarrett, by the way, just in case you're interested,
yeah,
you're
these
5th.
are all the spotters right here discussing what's happening on pit road. It's Keith Barnwell right there in the white shirt. He's a spotter for Jamie McMurray.
Yeah, McMurray and Harvick's crews going to do a little talking.
I'm sure Harvick's probably wondering why he raced him so hard this situation this time. You wonder sometimes why, if you've caught a guy, why he doesn't just let you go sometimes. But most of these drivers race each other the way that somebody races them. So Jamie might have been remembering something.
All right, we saw the spotters talking. Let's get an update from what we're hearing at the other end down on pit road. Jamie Little.
Actually, it's a little bartering they're doing because the 29 earlier, Marty, as you mentioned, got into the wall and he had a tire rub. So they asked the 1 team to take a look at it and see the damage and see if he could tell if there was a rub or not. So it's a friendly kind of looking over and doing each other a favor.
Yeah, and that's really sometimes the only thing that you have to rely on is your competitor out there. You wonder sometimes how much to believe.
Yeah, how much can you trust him? Here they come down pit road.
And as they hit the line, 55 miles an hour is the speed limit. Let's send it first up to Mike Massaro.
And Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus have been very happy with the race car all weekend long. No different here during this first run. Jimmy's saying it's only a touch free. They're going to try to tighten it up with a chassis adjustment. Also 4 tires and fuel, Doc.
Now you know why Jeff Gordon was all smiles in the pre-race. Great race car, a little loose in the tunnel turn, half around the wedge, a little air pressure. Jamie.
And Tony Stewart was our pole sitter. He slipped back 3 positions to 4th. He said he's very tight in 1 and 2, and he thinks he brushed the wall earlier in 1. The call is 4 tires and fuel. You see the race off pit road. Tony Stewart still in his box, and he loses multiple spots, guys.
Yeah, the decision, as Rusty pointed out, 2 versus 4, and here early, Jeff Gordon manages to change 4 tires and still maintain. Look at Greg Biffle picking up 17, Ken's at 16, Burton loses 3. Back here at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Pocono, presented by Aaron's. We talk so much about track for you. 2 cars have gone behind the wall. They've parked it. Casey Mears in the 36, the 64 at Todd Bodine. It's going to be Jeff Gordon leading Greg Biffle to the green, and we're back racing. Right behind him, it's Johnson, Kenseth, Montoya, Burton, Mark Martin. That's your top 7. Kurt Busch going to look to the inside, going to make it 3 wide.
Now, there's plenty of room for 3 wide racing. We've always seen that here at Pocono.
While all this goes on, we'll also update you the 46 of J.J. Yeley's pulled it behind the wall. Tony Stewart trying to pick up some of that ground he lost, but right now Mark Martin saying, I'll have none of it. Tony says, well, maybe I'll come back.
Yeah, he's going to be on the right side, the right place going through the tunnel turn. And we talk about the outside working in turn 1 and turn 3. Well, tunnel turn, you want to be on the very bottom.
Greg Biffle says, I'll take that clean air over those 4 tires. He remembers what he did last week at Indy. On that last stop, he got 2 tires and how much benefit it was.
Yeah, 4 tires for Gordon's. That got him back to 3rd right now. Kenseth was looking like he was going to be able to slide under him. Couldn't do it. Biffle right in front of Jimmy Johnson now as those 2 trying to pull away from Jeff.
Yeah, and I think these couple guys that got 2 tires there, it was a little bit of, we want some clean air, but it's a little bit of an experiment for later on, too, to see exactly how that's going to work.
It's obviously the best time to do it, but, man, he's got a car he's banged the wall with. He's only got 2 tires, and he's jumped out in front of all these other cars and got the lead.
Who said this was difficult? Kurt Busch going down that backstretch. It's Mark Martin. Mark right there with the 14 of Tony Stewart. Let's look at the battle for the lead because that's getting better. Here comes Jimmy looking for the inside. Can't find the opening. Biffle. And now 3 wide further back. You've got Hamlin on the inside, Kurt Busch, and then Mark Martin. Woof. That is all for position. 9th, 10th, and 11th.
See Greg Biffle racing Jimmy Johnson pretty hard for this spot, and I think it's a good decision by Biffle to race hard, at least right for a few laps to see how these 2 tires might work later when you do have to really run them hard to try to hold off these guys.
And let me correct it was for 8th position, and you can see right there it's right now up to Denny Hamlin. He has got it with Busch right behind him. Meanwhile, look at Jimmy Johnson as that battle continues up front, and it's allowed those guys in 3rd and 4th to suck right back in.
Yeah, the draft plays such a big part. These 2 cars running side by side, making a bigger hole, and they're able to suck up there. But Greg Biffle doing really well on these 2 tires, Mike.
Yeah, and he is, and considering the car he has, just before that round of pit stops, complaining about the car being extremely tight.
Guys, over with the front of this at all. Nothing. This is embarrassing. We cannot miss it this bad.
Well, the drivers can get heated sometimes when they don't like what they've got.
All right.
And guys, I spoke with Greg Irwin this morning about the car, and they were extremely optimistic coming into the weekend. After all, this is the car they had at Indianapolis a week ago and drove to a 3rd place finish. But Irwin was very candid, saying, we did miss it. We've been off. We don't know why. During that last pit stop, they tried to fix the problem. They took, as you mentioned, only 2 tires, but they also took a pretty big swing at it. They went up 2.5 rounds on the track bar, trying to free that car up a little bit. But Greg came over the radio not too long ago saying, guys, it's still pretty tight.
Yeah, I'd be a little bit careful right now and not make too many big adjustments just because this racetrack's going to continue to change as we get some more rubber down. We had hard rains and washed a lot of that away, so if they had a good car yesterday, I wouldn't be getting too far away from that right yet.
Well, Greg's got his hands full with Juan Pablo Montoya right now. You saw Burton give Gordon the shove down the stretch, and here comes Montoya, so Biffle going in the wrong direction. As you can see, Jimmy Johnson, who has now led in his 14th race out of 21 this year. That's more than any of the other drivers in the series. As he has opened up a 1.5-second lead, and Montoya clears Biffle.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing a combination right now. Greg's car's not exactly like he wants it, and the 2 tires getting passed by the guys that got 4 tires here.
How about the U.S. Army? We had 4 generals given the command right now. Ryan Newman trying to march his way forward. The 43 A.J. Allmendinger gave him a little help.
Yeah, there's another 2-tire car right there in Matt Kenseth sliding backwards also.
That is 10th position for Ryan Newman, 11th for A.J. Allmendinger. And speaking of the Army, how about make sure you go to Goodyear.com, check out Goodyear Support Our Troops program. There you can send a thank you message from a NASCAR driver, enter for a chance to win a 2011 Ford Taurus and other great prizes. Side by side, Denny Hamlin, I don't think it's going to be there for long as Biffle's been going backwards in that 16 car, and he does get past.
I don't know if it's his race car that's not to his liking or how much of this is these 2 tires. But right now, the experiment is not going that well for Greg. It looked great there for the first lap or 2 when he got the lead. Now he's paying the price.
Let me give you a couple of updates as Casey Mears has come back out onto the track in the 36. JJ Yeley is back out with 4 laps down. Bodine still behind the wall, and Michael McDowell is behind the wall as well. Let's check in on the 5 of Mark Martin, 2 of Kurt Busch. That is an interesting little battle shaping up. That is for 9th on the racetrack. Let's go on board with Kurt.
Boy, look, we're really working the throttle off the corner, Dale.
Yeah, that's just, you're still losing more of that grip that these guys are talking about in that patch, and you have to have a really good car, and if it's not all under you right there, then you have a hard time. You're just going to have to work the throttle. You see Dale Jr. trying to make a move on the 20 car, Joe Logano.
That's for 17th, and Junior Nation's going to be happy because Junior did get the spot. He's able to drive it down low, heading through the corner, and Joey, has to give way.
Well, that's where you put the slide job, and here comes Mark Martin to the inside of Kyle Busch. Mark's got this thing headed in the right direction.
That is for 8th on the track, so move Mark up 1.
And you can see a little different driving skills right there, or strategies, really. Mark Martin backed out of the throttle a little bit to get a good run off. Kyle drove it in a little bit further. That seems to be working really well for Mark right now. Not necessarily charging the corner, but utilizing the throttle a lot from the center of the corner on out.
See, they're still working the middle of the racetrack off turn 3, and there still is that newer, and I'll use that term. Wow, look at that Rudiman getting sideways off the corner. That newer asphalt does have a little bit more grip, but it has lost a lot of that advantage since they've paved that. In the beginning, you had to be there. Absolutely didn't have any grip unless you were in that patch, but now you can see it's almost the same color as the rest of the track.
That's a battle for 18th on the screen right there, and Rudiman finally clears Logano, and boy, Clint Bowyer had a head of steam, but he had to check up coming down that front stretch. He just had nowhere to go.
I'll say he's got a head of steam. He's gained 20 spots since the start of this race. He's going to be up there in the top 10 before long.
And Logano's going in the wrong direction. Remember, he started 17th in this race, and right now has dropped back 3 positions to 20th. Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson's lead is 1.5 seconds as he is trying to open up a lot of breathing space. There you see the top 3. In fact, there's all 4 of the top 5 cars after 27 of 200 laps here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania at Pocono International Raceway. For Jeff Burton, it's been so close this year. Jeff Gordon like to pick up win number 1 on the season. And how about Jimmy Johnson? That's Jeff Gordon, I should say, trying to chase down his teammate Jimmy Johnson. Look at this beautiful view from high above. We mentioned the fact that camping is up 30%. How about if we reset the race for you? Leader Jimmy Johnson, it's one of 5 different leaders we've had. Points leader Kevin Harvick's running 12th. Clint Bowyer is really moving up to 18th, up 22 spots. But Brad Keselowski has been dropping like a rock. Remember, he qualified 11th and finished 21st here in June in his first Pocono race, and it unfortunately is looking like deja vu.
Yeah, not looking good. He's going the wrong way.
Yeah, and it's just that we talk about the difficulty of this racetrack, and that's magnified when you get out there and have to put lap after lap on your tires, and so it just makes it even more difficult, especially for a young driver coming here for the first few times.
He's chasing right there. I'm sorry, Marty. He's chasing Elliott Sadler in the 19. He won the truck race here yesterday, so congratulations to Elliott.
And here in the Pennsylvania 500, though, not going very well for the 12. Let's find out more from Mike Massaro.
No, and he's struggling with a very tight race car, Marty. So much, in fact, that he actually brushed the wall slightly early in that first run. He doesn't think, however, that touch with the wall affected the race car. He just thinks it's been tight overall, and that's been the problem, especially getting off turns 2 and turn 3. No grip there, and it could be a long day if they don't fix that problem.
And you don't want a long day when it's a 500-mile race.
No, and gosh, your problems here just become magnified because you have the 3 different corners. I don't keep meaning to bring that up, but that's what you have here. The difficulty of this racetrack is because of just how difficult each of these corners is and how different each one of them are. You can see Paul Menard trying to get his car going forward.
And around Sam Hornish, and this has been Hornish's best track on tour, 4th place run here, and he's going in the wrong direction. So Kurt Busch is the lone soldier for Roger Penske's team up front.
Well, for now, it's still a long race. They got time to work on these cars and get them a lot better.
Marcus Ambrose trying to fight his way between both of them. The news, of course, earlier this week, Marcus going to be leaving that team at the end of the season. Bobby Labonte will be coming over next year. Right behind him, we talked about Elliott Sadler. Great run for him yesterday in that truck race. And these 5 cars having their own little battle.
They are racing hard, and you can see just how much the draft means, getting a good run up off the corner like Elliott Sadler did right there. Now the difficult thing is how much can you make it stick down here in turn 3, as you can see if he can slide up. There you get, trying to get up there to that newer pavement.
You're not missing anything up front. The lead by Jimmy Johnson over Jeff Gordon is 2.6 seconds. This is some of the best action we've got going on this 2.5-mile oval right now. And just as I say that, they start to string out.
Well, it's going to happen, and they'll close back up as they get to racing once again. That's what's so great about this racetrack. As we talked about Elliott, it was great to see him win that race yesterday. Needed some good things to happen in his professional career, and that's one of the starts. He's had some good runs in Kevin Harvick's truck this year.
Boy, that is such a great view. You can just see the cars just as they slide just ever so slightly to the wall.
You can just see just how on edge they are. I mean, they have to take these cars right to the limit. Such a fast track that, it could be disastrous if you let this thing get too far out there.
Had word that Junior in the 88 got a little sideways coming out in the tunnel turn. His last lap, as you can see, down a little bit from the leaders. Let's take a look and see what's happening from inside the cockpit.
See, there's a lot of drafting on this front straightaway. You can see the RPMs and the speed. I mean, this is really a fast part of the track. Almost 200 entering this corner. They go real slow. You got to get on the brakes hard to make this corner, and you have to slow down. You see Junior actually shifting into third gear to try to pull up off of this tight corner. We used to talk about, we used to shift a lot here. Haven't seen any of that in years. As a matter of fact, NASCAR's kind of made it where it's not doable, but it looks like a lot of cars are able to do it now.
Yeah, it's just for that one little period that we've seen them do it there. They downshift down in the middle of turn 1 to get them up off of that corner, because you really drive uphill right there, bogs the engine down some. So they're finding that few hundred yards that they can utilize another gear and get a little bit more RPM, a little more speed.
As we look a little bit further back, let me update you. Dave Blaney is now officially out of the race. So is McDowell. Bodine is already off the track, and P.J. Jones has taken it behind the wall as well.
It's the same turn we saw Junior going through. This is Denny Hamlin now. Looks like he's got his hands too full to be shifting over there. He's wheeling that thing coming off of turn 1.
Well, and if you missed the pre-race and countdown, Denny was saying his secret is he doesn't compromise. He wants to get all 3 corners right, and he looked very good there. Carl Edwards, first time we've really talked about Carl today. In the 99, he gets around A.J. Allmendinger as he's starting to move forward. He's up to 12th.
Yeah, we've definitely seen some improvement by the Roush Fenway cars, and the Fords in particular. I know a lot has to do with the new Ford engine. Doug Yates and his team working extremely hard with that, but they also had some handling issues they needed to look at, some aero issues they had to look at. So I think they're putting all that combination together, and we're seeing much better performances out of this group.
There's the view from high above, and he is starting to stretch that gap over the 43 of A.J. Allmendinger. Doc, what do you have?
Well, you're talking about the new Ford engine. When I talked to Doug Yates, and he worked so hard the past 2 years on the FR9, he said the biggest advantage is there's not a lot more horsepower, but what they look at is it has a much wider power band, which allows you to have torque on the bottom end without losing the top end. Also the fact, he said this new engine runs so much cooler because of the water jetting. You can run less tape on the front. And he said the third advantage of this engine and the new Ford engine is it is the same weight as the other engine, but all the weight is down low, so you can lower the center of gravity, which certainly helps the handling. A package of all 3 things starting to be a factor now for some of the Ford drivers here this weekend.
Doc, great point, and they need it. Ford has not won in 23 races, dating back to Talladega in 09. Only 1 win in the last 54 races. In the prior 54, Ford had won 17 times.
We're at the 100-mile mark of today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Pocono. Jimmy Johnson is the race leader with Jeff Gordon running second. You look back now through some of the top 10 running cars to find the man who started on the pole, Tony Stewart. He's back in 7th now. He lost about 3 spots on the first set of pit stops a little while ago. Now he's made a couple of them up under green here, Rusty and Brad.
Yeah, it looks like he stabilized his car's handling better and better now, and he's just starting to march to the front. I've been watching his lap times, pretty respectable lap times, within about a 10th or 2/10 of the leader. So he is definitely not in any trouble right now. His car is looking real well. He's just still tuning on it and trying to get it better.
Now, right behind Stewart runs Greg Biffle. one of two drivers who took just right side tires on the pit stops back at lap number 17. Biffle was the race leader shortly after the restart, but now he's back a little ways.
Yeah, it's obvious that those two tires are going to go, they're going to give to the 4-tire guys, and he has really struggled. The handling's gone away a little bit on this race car. He's still running decent times, just buying some times if he can maintain that position without losing it, because obviously on the earlier stop he picked up 17 positions, got himself good track position, so he's got to maintain this 8th place or top 10 positioning until they get another chance to stop.
Here's what the Biff is saying from that Ford.
What do you think of that track bar adjustment? I don't know. It seemed like it helped us some, I guess. I'm pretty loose off of 1 and 4. But I still have any turn with the front tires, Erwin, okay? That's what we need to think about.
All right, so the thoughts of Greg Biffle there as they get ready for another set of pit stops. Now, the other guy who took just the right side tires on the first set of visits to pit road is Matt Kenseth. And Matt gained 16 spots on the stop, but now he finds himself back in 19th position after restarting 4th.
Yeah, he's completely failed. This did not work out for Matt. His car's not handling good. His lap times are off right now in 19th position, as you said, Alan. But what I'm looking at is how are these two tires working for both of these guys? And right now, they're not working too good. Now, look. This might really pay off for a car that's handling really well. If a Jimmy Johnson or a Jeff Gordon comes down and pits and does 2 tires, a lot of the times if you got a really good handling car, they can handle 2 tires. But obviously these guys are off right now. As you see, Matt Kenseth's come off the corner with the back end slung out right there. Good indication that car's not handling. But this guy right here, Clint Bowyer, he's picked up 22 positions since he started. This thing is flat flying. He's got good lap times. He's in good position right now.
DJ mentioned earlier that Bowyer starting way back in 40th position after having a lot of trouble on his qualifying lap. On NASCAR Countdown, we talked about the Hendrick Motorsports team and the troubles they had at Indianapolis a week ago. Well, right now, Jimmy Johnson's the leader. Jeff Gordon is second. Mark Martin is running 6th. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in the 18th position. So that's where the Hendrick Group's run. We are just past 100 miles and coming up on another round of pit stops again here at Pocono. Johnson leading Gordon by 4.8 seconds.
Back here at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Pocono, presented by Aaron's, Matt Kenseth is in the pits. He's going for a 4-tire change, Mike.
And the car's been a little bit loose, Marty. They're going to try to tighten that car up a little bit as they make a chassis adjustment and a 4-tire change in the 17.
47 of Marcus Ambrose also going for 4. The 77 also coming in with Sam Hornish. They're working on the right side. Little round of wedge.
They're making a few adjustments on Sam's car. We talked about how he wasn't as good this race as he was the last race here.
During break, we can tell you Jamie McMurray was the first to come in under the green flag scenario. And let's send it to Dr. Jerry Punch.
And Mark Martin said he loves his car, although he apologized for bouncing it off the wall about 4 laps ago. I don't think I hit it real hard, but I still hit it a little bit. They're going to come in. He comes to a halt. They're going to make an adjustment here. Air out of the right rear, right front 1 round, out of the left rear. He said the car is slightly tight, 4 tires, and Sunoco fuel. James.
And Tony Stewart was slipping back. He was having his hands full. His car was tight through the center, loose off on both ends. They're going to adjust it there. Looked like a chassis adjustment just a few moments ago. 4 tires, filled it up with Sunoco fuel for Tony Stewart.
And while you guys were finishing up, Marcus Ambrose took his car behind the wall after making the stop, so don't know exactly what happened there, but Marcus, as we said, behind the wall. Jimmy Johnson's still out there right now, but Jeff Gordon has pulled in, Doc.
And 4-time Pocono winner and early leader today, Jeff Gordon coming in. Said the car was loose when he began his run. The car got very good, and it got really loose again, so they make a major chassis adjustment, 4 tires. Mike.
Juan Pablo Montoya on pit road now as well. Car's been a little bit tight. They're going to try to free that up with an air pressure adjustment. He's now away.
And Denny Hamlin in the 11. Too tight has been the call all day. They've been struggling with this car since day 1. 4 tires and fuel for Denny Hamlin, your 4-time winner here.
Looks like Jimmy Johnson's going to finally peel off here as he's got a couple of extra laps. As you see the others coming back out, there's Greg Biffle They were working on that car as well. And here is Jimmy. Mike?
And Marty, last time down pit road, Jimmy Johnson complaining the car was just a little bit loose. They made a chassis adjustment. It seems to have corrected the problem. Jimmy came over the radio not too long ago saying the looseness is gone, the car is good, we've got great speed. 4 tires and Sunoco race fuel for Johnson.
And the 99 of Carl Edwards is pulling into his pit box. Again, just like we've been hearing all day, not thrilled with their cars. Grip is the problem. Of course, with a little bit of rain, it washed the rubber off, so he makes the long trek down. He's the 3rd pit box on pit road, but they're excited. They love their pit box location. It's an easy in, easy out for the Aflac Ford Fusion of Carl Edwards. You see him on the right side. It's going to be 4 tires. I'm hearing these crew chiefs say absolutely 4 tires. You cannot gamble with 2, as we saw happen with Greg Biffle. They fill it up with Sunoco fuel. The call is good. No chassis adjustments for the 99.
Pretty clean round of pit stops by all the top contenders on this green flag section as we're just working lap 50 of 200, the quarter mark, and Jimmy Johnson will cycle through as our race leader. We've had a total of 5 different leaders with 5 lead changes up to now.
Yeah, you see all these pit stops all being 4 tires, and the reason that is it takes about 14 or 12 to 14 seconds to fill them up with fuel, so they take that advantage to go ahead and change the tires. There wouldn't be any advantage to just taking 2 under green.
You can see him coming up on the 37 of David Gilliland as he is the last car on the lead lap. 33 cars, in fact, as he's about to go a lap down. So we passed the quarter mark here at Pocono. Jimmy Johnson up front. Welcome back to the Pennsylvania 500, and make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. And while we were away, we can tell you Elliott Sadler is not going to have the kind of day he had yesterday when he won the truck race. He's now a lap down, and here is the reason why.
You see, coming off of turn 3, car gets out from under him, able to keep it off the wall, slides down actually onto pit road, takes out the cone, but that's not really, I don't think that'll be a penalty since that's a situation.
He did come in and complete the stop as he took 4 fresh tires. As you might expect, he flat spotted those. Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson has now opened up a 3.4 second lead over Jeff Gordon. But what we noticed, guys, and let's talk about it a little bit, was Jimmy's lead before the green flag pit stops was 5 seconds. Right after, it was down to 2.1.
Yeah, I think probably a couple of factors in there. Maybe Jeff got on to and off of pit road just a little bit better. Ooh, see Jimmy Johnson come close to the wall right there. But I think the other thing, Jeff pitted a lap before Jimmy did, and gosh, there's a little over 2 seconds difference, Andy, when they put these new tires back on.
It showed up on our monitors about 2 seconds a lap versus new tires versus the old tires. But from their fastest lap, Gordon has run a 53.46, his fastest lap of the race, and now they're running in the 55-second bracket. So yeah, just that one lap on the track can make up a couple of seconds of time.
And there is second place Jeff Gordon. You saw Jeff Burton in 3rd, off into the distance. And let's talk about pit time comparisons.
This shows the whole total. You see 37.9 for Johnson, 36.9 for Gordon, and you see it in the driver time down pit road. That's probably Gordon pushing the pit road speed a little bit closer than Jimmy. Jimmy probably leaving a little margin there. The crews are really close there, just a 1/10 of a second apart.
Well, Jimmy Johnson, there he is out in front of this race. And, of course, in 4th spot behind Burton is Denny Hamlin. Between those two, they've won 19 of the last 37 races, which is 51%. Both are in contention right now. And, of course, we all know what Denny is shooting for, trying to become only the 3rd man to win 3 in a row here at Pocono. The other 2, Bobby Allison and the late Tim Richmond. We've heard a couple of guys shifting down into 1. I guess we won't find out on that lap. I didn't let the truck know we were going to listen in on that. That's my fault, guys. Let's move back a little bit further as we pick up Kurt Busch and the Fusion, the 16 of Greg Biffle. Those guys going after each other. That is the best battle we've got on the racetrack, really. It is a battle for 8th position right now.
It's a good opportunity to talk about that strategy play that Greg Irwin, the crew chief for Greg Biffle, made of getting those 2 tires at that lap 15 competition caution. He was running about 18th place when they made that. He came out 2nd and led a little bit, but he only fell back to about 8th place, and now you can see solidly in the top 10. I'd have to say that was a winning gamble for this team. Now they're on fresh tires with everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. They showed them what they probably wanted to know about 2 tires, and it also got them a lot better track position. You know, if they would happen to have a caution now, they're sitting there only in the 4th or 5th row, so that's a lot better than what they were. So probably a job well done by Greg Irwin and that crew.
Kurt Busch right there carrying the Dodge colors right now. His teammates Brad Keselowski 24th, Sam Hornish Jr. 27th. So he is the lone Dodge in the top 20, and he is running in 8th position. There are 6 out of the top 7 Chevrolets. Sprint brings you an inside look at the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on the Now Network. Of course, our points leader, Kevin Harvick, doing what he's been doing a lot lately, hanging around 11th spot right now, 139 points behind. In second place is Jeff Gordon. And then in third position, 196 back, our race leader at the moment, Jimmy Johnson. How about top speed of today's race so far? Well, another nod to Kevin Harvick as he's topped out at 200 miles an hour. And our biggest mover in the race, well, that honor is going to go to Clint Bowyer as he has picked up 24 spots, and right now Mr. Bowyer is 12th in that final position for the Sprint Cup Chase Championship. So big day for him right now if he can keep it up. So for more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. You heard us a little bit earlier talking about Marcus Ambrose. There he is back in the garage area, and the initial word we're getting is that it is a potential engine problem. We're trying to get more details for everybody. Let's get some more on what could be going on from the Craftsman Tech Garage with Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Marty. This is our Earnhardt Childress racing engine. It's not a Toyota engine, but what's going on with the engine, as you're seeing the pistons work right here in this area, as this piston's coming back up, we have the exhaust piston, the exhaust valve right here, and then you have very little piston to valve clearance right here. So if you over rev that engine and that valve makes contact with a piston, you actually bend the valve and it comes back up to meet with the seat right here. It's not going to set down properly, and what it's going to do is going to pop the head off that valve, go down, and it's going to totally devastate the engine. Marty?
Thank you, Tim, and let's take it a little deeper, Andy.
This is just a really hard racetrack on engine. Wow, look at Jimmy Johnson got shape. But it's a hard track on engines, and if you over-rev, just like Tim said, you lose control. That spring is controlling that valve, and if it gets too many RPMs, it can kind of lose control of it, and they make contact, and then that's what happens to the, ruins the engine, puts you in the garage like Marcus Ambrose did.
And beside Ambrose now, J.J. Yeley's back behind the wall. Nemechek is out. Castle is out. Blaney and Michael McDowell also out of this race. And Clint Bowyer has just picked up another position as we were updating you on some of the other cars. And Clint right now in 15th and pulling away from A.J. Allmendinger.
That's 25 spots and counting for Clint. Still on the mark.
Yeah, he found those first 20 to be not too difficult, but these last 5 have been a little more, but he's taking his time. He knows this is a long race. He and I had this discussion the other day. He was talking about trying to come from 4th this starting spot, and I said, that's a long 500 miles, and he said that's what the guys keep telling him. So you got plenty of time to get there with a good car.
And as we mentioned, right now he is currently listed 12th in the Chase Championship point standing. Mark Martin 13th in the 14th position, held down by Dale Earnhardt Jr. Let's update you as we're working lap 64 of 200 while you watch this battle going on the track. Race lead up front is still 2.8 seconds. Here's one of the better battles we've got as far as closure, as Kevin Harvick is getting closer to Kyle Busch. Kyle running 10th, and just as I say that, it looks like Kyle starts opening up a little ground. Here comes Kevin in the corner. That's what we wanted to see.
Yeah, it's just a matter of that exit speed that you can carry off. You can put a little distance if you can go off of these corners and keep the power down. It's whenever you have to lift a little bit and let that guy close on you.
Well, you were mentioning this is how you always check yourself coming across, checking your tack at the stripe. And this long straightaway, if you don't come off 3, you're basically, as Alex Zanardi would always say, screwed at the other end.
Yeah, and that's the thing about why it's so important to carry that momentum off turn 3, because that straightaway is so long that you'll continue losing time all the way down the straightaway.
Yeah, you saw 2 completely different lines right there. Kyle Busch up about 2.5 lanes down in turn 1. Kevin Harvick right down on the very bottom where it's a little bit rougher, but that's he was able to get a good launch off the corner and close in that gap a little bit.
Well, we talked about how Kevin seems to be in this mix every week. It's sort of subtle during the mid portion of the race, but by the time we get to crunch time, That's when he has been moving forward, making his presence felt, and right now doing a good job running in the 11th spot as they get ready to go around the slower vehicle, the 37 of David Gilliland.
Yeah, to be a points leader, he gets about as little talked about him sometimes as anybody that I can remember in recent history, but it's just because he's kind of methodical at what way he's going about this, Andy.
Right. It's just like what Marty said. I mean, he just shows up at the end. Well, you don't have a lot of time to talk about him when he shows up 5 laps to go in the top 5.
Kyle got a little tail happy. Can he close on him as they come down the Long Pond Straight?
Heck, that's the way Kyle likes to drive his car. Yeah. I think David Pearson would be pretty proud of Kevin Harvick, wouldn't he? That's the way he used to go about things.
That was Pearson's motive right there, just to hang around and just, look at his watch, drive with one hand, and it gets down to the crunch time now. He's got both hands on the wheel.
What a difference a year makes after 20 races. Take a look at that, from 22 to 9 this year. Jamie, what's the latest you're hearing?
Well, I talked to Gil Martin, crew chief for Kevin Harvick, and I asked him about Kevin and his driving style.
A couple of years since I've been in the booth of how Kevin does drive the car straighter into the corner, and that does make you do things because he wants that car to turn in the center. But for someone like Clint Bowyer, who may arc it in a little bit more, or Jeff Burton, you have to do different things to make that car do what he's wanting it to do there.
And you don't want to change somebody's style like Kevin. I mean, it gets results. He still gets results with his style. Don't change him. Give him what he wants. That's the crew chief's job, is to give him what he needs in that car. And Kevin will go out here and deliver. Might be different than you see like these other guys doing, but it still is very effective.
Well, we've just passed the top of the hour. If you are just joining us, there's your race leader, Jimmy Johnson, as he has got a 3.3 second lead over Jeff Gordon. Kevin Harvick, our points leader, as we mentioned, running 11th. Clint Bowyer has picked up 25 spots, is now running 15th. And Marcus Ambrose is behind the wall with an engine issue. And not good news for him, as we have worked 67 of 200 laps. Denny Hamlin, he's running 3rd right now, and he's looking to make it 3 in a row here. Jeff Gordon has been 2nd 8 times this year, and you already know about Jimmy.
70 of 200 laps complete here at Pocono, closing in on the 200-mile mark of today's 500-mile race. Jimmy Johnson has been out in front for some time now. He went out in front at lap 22 and has not given it up yet. And he has built up, at the moment, a 3.5 second advantage on second place, Jeff Gordon. Run back through the top 15 there, top of the screen. You see back to 15th place Clint Bowyer, the way the front of the running order is looking right now. And we're closing in on another set of green flag pit stops. Jamie McMurray began the last set at lap 45. Boyer among a group that came in at lap 47 and tack around 30 laps onto that. And we're not that far away from seeing these cars on pit road again. At this giant track, it takes a while to scan all the way back from the leader to the 15th place car, Mike. But let's go up to speed from 15th place Clint Bowyer on back.
Patience has been the key for Clint Bowyer, Alan. All day long, he started very deep in the field, 40th, and has charged his way to the front. You know, it was interesting to note that at the beginning of the weekend, Bowyer was asked about his transition at this racetrack, how he's come to grips with it. He said when he first came here a few years ago, he was terrible, just couldn't understand it, couldn't get comfortable, but suddenly something clicked. And you can see that something clicked here today. He's been awfully good, making his way through the field, showing that patience we alluded to, but still there's a long way to go, and he's got, a good bit of time to get there, I'd say, Jamie.
And right behind him is the 43 of A.J. Allmendinger. The weekend started out really well for this team. They qualified 7th, their best effort here. And with finishing 10th 6 weeks ago, they were very optimistic that they could finish inside the top 10 and even better that result. That has not been the case since this race car took to the track. It has been evil. It won't turn. It doesn't have grip. AJ's been yelling on the radio the entire race. He said, next stop, we are taking a major swing at this car. Mike?
Well, I haven't heard David Ruderman describe his car as evil yet, Jamie, but it might not be a bad word to use. The car's been awfully loose, so much, in fact, he's almost lost it a couple of times, especially in turn number 1. Very much a handful for Ruderman. Doc?
And how about Dale Earnhardt Jr. behind him? He talked about a handful. Now, they have been making major changes on the car. They're going in the right direction. But Dale Jr. says the car is really, really tight into one and loose across the tunnel. In the last pit stop, they put a rubber in the right rear. That has helped it some. Whoa! He's got his hands full there, but they still have a way to go. Jamie.
And Martin Truex Jr. has his hands full, too. Just behind him, he qualified 28th. This has not been a good racetrack for Martin Truex Jr. He's finished 18th or worse the last 3 outings. The car is just extremely loose off, which we've heard a lot today, but he said it's just not helping no matter what they've done to it. So next stop, look for them to make major adjustments, including pulling his Mike.
Well, Matt Kenseth's crew chief, Jimmy Fennig, I spoke with him this morning, and he said since Jack Roush is not here, this team has had to compensate here a little bit this weekend. All the Roush teams engaging help from Doug Yates when it comes to tuning the motor. But what Jimmy Fennig says he misses the most is Jack's hands-on approach. Because he's not here, he's been forced to ask himself some questions that Jack would normally ask. Those questions had to do with setup this morning when it came to choosing the right springs and the shock settings. He hopes he did, but he's not really sure. The car's been very loose throughout the course of this last run, Jamie.
And behind him, surprisingly, is last weekend's popular winner, Jamie McMurray. Of course, they celebrated on Sunday, but it was back to work on Monday. They went and did some road course testing, and now they've had their work cut out for him here. The car just has not been good. It's been very loose. His crew chief, Kevin Bono Mannion, even joking with him at their final practice where they were 20th, saying, man, you're driving like an old man. You need to get up on it. Jamie told me before the race he just wasn't comfortable. Mike?
The day has been a bit of a struggle for Brad Keselowski, Jamie. The car started off extremely tight, so much in fact that he brushed the wall. They made a track bar adjustment. They went up 2 rounds on it. It did correct the problem. They may have gone too far, however. Keselowski said recently it's just a little bit loose. Doc?
Basically the same report on the 78 car, former Rookie of the Year Regan Smith. There's Regan coming at you. He said the car's been very loose all around the racetrack, but more significantly in turn 1 than anywhere else. They have done track bar, wedge, air pressure, everything they can think of, and the car's still a handful in turn 1, but the power is good because, remember, they have Hendrick horsepower under the hood. Behind that 78 is the 20 car of Joey Logano. Remember the last time we left Pocono? Mild-mannered Joey Logano was standing on pit road screaming and pointing his finger at Kevin Harvick after an incident in the final laps. And now the 20 car, we saw a puff of smoke as he is slowing and coming down pit road. He had been complaining the car was having some handling issues. He said, I'm getting killed coming off turn 3. Gotta believe he has a tire going down or the car's getting so bad he just can't handle it. He is headed down to Zippy and the guy.
All right, so here is the stop for the Home Depot team as they are now in Logano. Remember, he last came in back at lap 48, so a little bit early, I think.
You're all clear, all the way to the wall. All the way out, second gear, all green.
Let's check in with Mike Massaro.
And Biffle now on pit road, making his stop. As you recall, they've had some problems throughout the course of the day. He was not very happy. The last time he came down pit road, they made a shock adjustment. They removed a shim from the right front. No adjustments of that sort this time around. Greg has been relatively happy since that adjustment. 4 tires on that car. Right behind him, Matt Kenseth making his stop, coming in for service. As we mentioned not too long ago, the car just a little bit loose. They're going to try to tighten him up a little bit with a chassis adjustment. 4 tires and fuel for Kenseth.
And we've noticed a couple of these cars coming a little earlier than we anticipated. We thought they'd go 30 to 35. They're coming in before lap 30. So.
Yeah, and I think part of that is they're seeing how much time they are losing. So we see Dale Earnhardt Jr. in here, that they're just continuing to lose time. They know that they can make up just a little bit of time. And we see Jamie McMurray, last week's winner, on pit road now. So they want to utilize that. And it's not as big a gamble because we have the wave around now. If they happen to go a lap down, they can take that wave around and get back and be okay.
Smoke is coming in as well in the 14, Jamie.
And Tony Stewart making his way down all the way down to the number 1 pit box. Tony's car was getting a little bit better, but remember he was fighting loose and tight early on. They go to work on the right side. You see the clock ticking there. Kevin Harvick in as well. Their car is getting better as well. You see the wrench in the back window. They did make a chassis adjustment, filling it up with Sunoco fuel. And Mike Massaro, Jimmy Johnson's coming to you.
And Jimmy saying the car's still just a little bit too free for his liking. They're going to make a slight adjustment when it comes to air pressure. 4 tires and fuel on the 48 cars. They complete the service on the right side of that car and swing around to the left side, trying to button it up. A clean stop in just over 13 seconds for Johnson.
More chassis adjustment, air pressure for Jeff Gordon. Said I could be tighter off of turn 3, go loose off the tunnel turn. He is down and away as he just misses the 5 car of Mark Martin. Jamie.
Close call for the 24, but Denny Hamlin is in safe and sound. They are making progress on this car. It's gotten better. 4 tires and fuel for Denny Hamlin. Doc.
Last night's winner in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race, Kyle Busch, said the car's getting better. He said, but the problem we've got is the same old problem we've had here in years past. The car just will not turn. Chassis adjustment, air pressure, 4 tires, and topped it off with Sunoco fuel.
And as Kyle Busch comes off, he won his 9th race here on the Nationwide Series. How about the other 8? Well, he picked up 1 win on the same weekend after winning on the Nationwide Tour, so he's got a little bit of work to do here. There's Casey Kane as he has completed his stop, and now we're waiting for everybody to cycle through because Carl Edwards is currently shown as the race leader as he now peels off and comes down pit road. Let's send it back down to Jamie Little.
Well, it's been a pretty good run for Carl Edwards. He started 25th. He was able to stay out, lead a lap, and get those 5 extra bonus points. Remember, that's what it's all about right now, are the points. Now, Carl said the grip has gotten better, but I can always use more. Wedge, 4 tires is the call for Carl Edwards. And you see the new leader, Jimmy Johnson, retakes the lead while Carl Edwards continues on pit road. They take a tear up off the windshield. That, of course, to give him clear view, get rid of some of that dirt there. And they're working away. They're done on the back. It's a clean stop once again for Carl Edwards.
And Carl becomes our 6th different leader. We've had a total of 7 lead changes officially right now. And as these guys pull out, there is your race leader, Jimmy Johnson. Now the interval this time is 2.3 seconds as he comes up on Regan Smith out of turn 3. And you want to see how far it is, 2.3 seconds? That's the difference right now. It was, again, a 4.9 second lead before the pit stops started to cycle through. So as we go to break, let's take a look at what happens when Kenyatta Houston goes over the wall. The front tire changer for Reagan. Remember, he did double duty with the Nationwide Series last night with Kevin Harvick's team, finishing 2nd over in Iowa. Doesn't look like he's too fatigued there. He does his job, and they're back underway. We've completed 80 of 200 laps. Jimmy Johnson has led 57 of them so far. Stay with us, more to come.
Good candidates for that today here at Pocono Raceway, where we're just across 200 miles of the 500 scheduled distance. And you're riding with the man who is trying to win a 3rd straight race and 5th overall at this racetrack in just 10 tries in his NASCAR Sprint Cup career, Denny Hamlin. From the pit studio, Bestwick with Rusty and Brad. We've been watching Denny's lap times since the pit stops and even before that in comparison to leader Jimmy Johnson's, and they're pretty good.
Yeah, they've been real good. Almost about 0.2 of a second, Alan, better than Jimmy Johnson. But I've witnessed this a lot during this race with the 11 car of Denny Hamlin. He's been running real good, but through the sequence of pit stops, you just can't seem to get up there and catch him. We get a caution flag where it bunches them all back up. This could be definitely turn into a tighter race and a whole different deal.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rusty. And I tell you, Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, though, have both been extremely strong. They've been on top of their pit stops. I think what we've seen over the past couple of weeks, especially with Jimmy Johnson having some stumbles, that they have put that behind them, and they're going to be the ones to beat at the end of this race today.
Looking ahead, Jeff Gordon still running in 2nd place, as he has been for a long time now in this race, ever since, in fact, Jimmy Johnson went by him a little bit after a restart. And Carl Edwards now starting to make some progress as well up toward the front. That is Edwards racing Greg Biffle for the 11th spot.
Guy's really, really racing hard. Greg Biffle's had a good run today. Got behind on that 2-tire stop, but yeah, he's having a good day. Carl Edwards has worked his way up towards that 11th spot, now going back to 12. Having a good race with his teammate. Hopefully both of those Roush cars will finish up front today.
Brad, one thing I'm noticing out there right now, the sun's out,
yeah,
buddy.
It's coming out. Here it comes.
It's out bright,
yep.
And that's definitely going to change the track. I don't think it's going to make you run any faster. I think it's going to make you get a lot looser.
Yep.
This car's going to start slipping and sliding. In fact, Alan was just telling me, starting to hear in his scanner, drivers are complaining about no grip. And boy, when that sun starts beating on this 2.5-mile racetrack, it gets slippery out there.
You stole my punchline. I was going to say one thing all the drivers are using, the one 4-letter word all these drivers are using to describe their cars.
Go ahead.
No, it's not that one. It's grip. Marty, DJ, and Andy, they're sliding all over the place right now.
Yes, they are, Alan. As you guys pointed out, the temperature on the track is going to start going up here, and there are the two Fords, the two best running Fords in 11th and 12th, with Edwards and Biffle and Jack Roush, I'm sure, as he's on the mend. But the Mayo Clinic is enjoying the fact that his team is starting to move to the front, because it was a rough day yesterday in Iowa. I think they scraped up about 4 cars total up there. Back to the leader, as Jimmy Johnson's lead is now 4.4 seconds. And you mentioned the fact that Denny Hamlin is closing on Jimmy. He still is, guys. He is running consistently quicker lap times.
Well, I think that track temperature is having a lot to do with that. It's up 5 degrees plus since the start of the race, and that's going to change things. And Denny Hamlin, I believe, also runs this race fairly methodical. I think he was very confident going in, listening to his crew chief Mike Ford talk about his car. They were very confident. I think they've just been very patient about how they're going about this race, kind of conserving their equipment. They know they'll have something at the end.
And I'll tell you another thing that I think is playing into Denny Hamlin's favor. We talk about this sun and the temperature going up, especially the track temp, is that we heard Denny Hamlin earlier on talk about his car being tight. Jimmy Johnson has been talking about his car being loose, and so Denny Hamlin's car now with this Sunshine Slicker racetrack is a better fit for what we have with track conditions right now.
He's a couple of seconds closer to Jimmy Johnson right now than he was before that round of pit stops. So they're making gains with the car on the track and in the pit.
All right, I've got 2 thoughts for you here. How about we take a look at the top 3? You've got Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Denny Hamlin. Between those 3, they have 10 wins here at this track. Hamlin and Gordon have 4. Jimmy's got 3. So the flip side of that coin is, remember how we said last week there were some similarities to Indianapolis and here, but only 5 of the current top 6 in the running order? Well, those 5 finished outside the top 10 last week. So where do we go with that one?
Well, it's not over yet either. I mean, that's where they're running right now. So we'll see how it works out. They are similar, but we've talked about the differences. It's a very tough racetrack.
Yeah, I think that the bumps make a big difference with this, trying to get your shock package right, and your driving style fits this a lot, and these guys do a terrific job here.
See right here, Denny Hamlin just reeling Jeff Gordon in slowly.
Gives you a great view from that long lens. And again, his lap time for Denny is quicker than the cars in front of him.
Yeah, what was really good there is we watched Denny Hamlin come off. Even though it's a lap car, he's going underneath. He was able to get the grip and keep the momentum off of turn 3. That's going to pay huge dividends and benefits before this day is over.
Speaking of lap cars, we'll tell you that there are 22 on the lead lap. Joey Logano in that 22nd spot. And Jamie McMurray has just gone a lap down. And a total, P.J. Jones has just pulled off the track. He's not been able to maintain minimum speed. And 7 other cars are out of this race, which we've already talked about.
These cars run. This is a good time to kind of see really how you stack up. We'll watch here Jimmy Johnson. He's going to cross the line here in a minute. We're going to check the speeds at the line and see just who's actually coming to the front and who might be slipping back.
This time by the stripe as we're working lap 91.
It's 160 miles an hour is the baseline so far. Gordon's a little quicker than Jimmy.
And on that lap, Denny Hamlin is 3rd quickest.
See a lot of cars working some traffic. There's Jeff Burton now with the fastest lap so far by the line.
Can we look at all of those, all 4 of those top, the 1, 2, 3, 4? Now we look at the speed right there. That's within a 1/10 of a second of each other as far as the lap time goes, from a 56.17 to a 56.26 for Denny Hamlin.
And did you notice how Kevin Harvick has now sort of quietly moved from 11th up to 9th? And right now, Jeff Burton, who's currently running 4th, as you can see, he wants to be a player in this mix as well. So it's Johnson, Gordon, Hamlin, Burton, and Juan Pablo Montoya, your top 5, as we are approaching the halfway mark here at the Pennsylvania 500, presented by Aaron's. Good action on the track right now between Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch. That is a battle for 10th, and that is the closest action we actually have on the track at this very moment, as Kyle has been trying to close down on Carl the last couple of laps.
We've seen a lot of cars kind of coming to the front, and it's changed the complexion a little bit. And if we had a caution flag to bunch these cars up, I think you'd see some different names at the top.
Down that long 3,700 foot, that's almost 3/4 of a mile on that front straightaway. Could land a small jet plane on there.
Yeah. Carl's had a good day. He's up 15 spots from where he started. But you can see this car seemingly getting better and better throughout the day as they make adjustments to it.
Whoa, Kyle almost brushed the wall there, coming out of 2 or 1, I should say, as heads down the Long Pond Straight. Let's check back in with our race leader, Jimmy Johnson. His lead is 4.8 seconds. Moving a little bit further back, Jeff Gordon is in second, then Denny Hamlin, and in fourth place, Jeff Burton, who's been clicking off some laps. And we haven't talked much lately about Juan Pablo Montoya. Remember last year, had the disaster at Indianapolis, came back to finish second here. We all know what happened to him last week, and right now, Mike, he's running consistent, although he is fifth place, 21 seconds back.
Well, Marty, he has been running consistent, but he's not necessarily happy with what's going on with the race car. As you recall, at the beginning of our show, we documented the fact that these crew chiefs were going to have to be chasing the racetrack with the fluctuating weather conditions. That's been the case for the 42 team and crew chief Brian Patty. The car not exactly where it was about a half hour ago when this racetrack was covered with clouds.
You made a lot of worse with that change. You made a lot looser, a lot snappier, a lot more unpredictable. Sun is out.
And while the sun has had an ill effect on the 42 car, well, there's the opposite side of the spectrum too. There are some teams out here where the sun is actually helping them. You'll remember we talked about Brad Keselowski really struggling today. He came on the radio not too long ago saying the sun has really helped them, and that all of a sudden he feels pretty racy.
Well, he better get racy because he's the next car to go a lap down, 21st place, 54 seconds behind the race leader. Joey Logano has just gone a lap down as we continue to watch Montoya here. Are you noticing anything, guys, on the way he's handling the car?
Well, I mean, the track's definitely changing, and that's kind of the responsibility of the crew chief there to, he's out here, he can see the track conditions are changing and tries to remind him of that and keep that in mind so when they do call for changes, he knows that that's a factor.
Yeah, and that sun comes out. He was talking about it. Made the changes made it snappy loose. I'm sure that those changes, along with the sunshine getting there in a slicker track, has helped to kind of accentuate that problem for him, and they'll be ready to make another adjustment.
Earlier in countdown, Juan Pablo Montoya was quoted as saying, "Hey, last week was over, but Brian Patty said, I'm going to be living with this for a long time." When you were a crew chief, Andy, how long did it take you to get over the big disappointment races?
I'm still not over some of the losses. And the Daytona 500, which I never won as a crew chief. So, if Brian Patty doesn't win that race as a crew chief, it'll haunt him for a long time, I promise.
Yeah, and as a driver, I know that we're all wired a little bit differently, and if Montoya can pass that off and put that behind him and move on, that's great. I'm telling you that 99% of the others out there can't do that.
9 cars as we continue to watch Montoya are officially out of the race now. Todd Bodine came out for a few more laps. He has now parked it. He'll finish in 37th position. Let's check in once again with David Ruderman. A couple of races ago at Chicago, he was the race winner. Whoa, the 83 getting a little tail happy right in front of him there. As you can see, there's his cycle right now, as Ruderman is 16th. And of course, that 83 of Sorensen, we should tell you, is a lap down in 29th. We're hearing word that a lap or two ago, David Ruderman had a little potential conflict. Let's go back and see what happened.
Whoa, looks like Bobby Labonte had to get out of the gas there a little bit. Just about got tagged.
Yeah, Ruderman had a good run. I think he thought he was going to get the outside, but Bobby got loose and had to jump out of the throttle, as you said. A little contact, but no harm.
See how hard he gets on the brakes going into one.
Now you can see the big speed difference. There was 200 miles an hour just about at the end of the straightaway, down to 125 miles an hour basically. So, wow, look at that thing get out of shape. Gassing it up. But a lot of speed difference between entering turn 1 and exiting.
Down the Long Pond straight, into the tunnel turn, again on the brakes. Through to the chute. And as we switch back towards the front, the reason for this is Jimmy Johnson, with now a 5.7 second lead, is about to be at the halfway mark of this race. We will be 250 miles down, 250 to go, this time by the stripe.
And we talked about Denny Hamlin being able to close in some. Looked like he might have been quite a bit faster. Was Jimmy stretched it back out. Denny had cut that down to about 6 seconds. And
actually less. I saw it at about 5.5 seconds at one point, and it's like he just flipped back over and started going the other way. Don't know if Jimmy found something or maybe Denny Hamlin's losing a little bit of speed.
Well, we've just passed the bottom of the hour if you are tuning in. Jimmy Johnson is our race leader. He is one of 6 different leaders. We've had 8 lead changes. Jimmy's led for 77 laps. Kevin Harvick is the points leader, running in 9th right now. Clint Bowyer is the biggest mover, plus 25, and Marcus Ambrose had engine problems and is out of this race, as is 8 other drivers. You know, last week was a down for Jimmy Johnson, obviously, at the Brickyard 400. He's had a few of those as well as some ups. He talked about it with us.
I know what our team is capable of. I know what I can do behind the wheel. I know that we're working on some things, and hopefully it all comes together in time for the chase, and we can take advantage of some new technology and try to win our 5th straight championship. But you just never know. I mean, I've had such a fortunate run here that I can't be in a bad mood or kind of a brat about things. I just got to go to work, and so does the team.
Well, a couple of things. One, I want to point out he's led the most laps by a bunch, 78 so far, but he's failed to win 3 of the last 4 races where he has led the most laps. And look at this. We got Kevin Harvick. We'll get back to that story in a moment, but Harvick going around the 2 as Harvick is now 8th. Move Kurt Busch back to 9th, and we keep talking about Kevin.
We're not going to let him sneak up on us today, are we? We're going to keep following him up through here. Having a good day so far.
Yeah, back to Jimmy Johnson just a second. We've come to expect so much from them. If they have 1 or 2 races that aren't just their normal spectacular days, then we wonder what in the world's going on with these guys. And so they've kind of brought this on themselves by being 4-time consecutive champs.
No one around Jimmy Johnson right now, except there you see Brad Keselowski. He is on the verge of going a lap down. He is 21st position right now. And it's Jeff Gordon, Denny Hamlin, Jeff Burton, and Juan Pablo Montoya, your top 5 as we're past halfway at Pocono.
Just past the halfway point of today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race. Coverage presented by Aaron's from Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. Another round of green flag pit stops have begun. Jamie McMurray just in, and now here's Dale Earnhardt Jr., Doc.
Yeah, a little bit of a struggle continuing for Dale Jr. They've had air pressure adjustment, track bar adjustment. They will go that direction again to try to get him loosened up. With the sun out, surprisingly, they are tight coming off the corner. The 20 car in front of him, Joey Logano, said the car had been very, very tight all day, but had now gotten very loose all of a sudden. So Joey Logano says, we got to go back on those adjustments.
Greg Biffle has run the gamut today. He started off awfully tight, and then the car got a little bit free, and he's back to being tight. They'll make yet another chassis adjustment, a 4-tire change on the 16 car, along with fuel. Biffle now away. Meanwhile, Clint Bowyer, he's been charging his way through the field. That car has been very good, making his way from the 40th starting position all the way up into the top 15. A very small adjustment on that car. The car was a little bit loose off as they get him away, trying to tighten him up just so slightly, guys.
A.J. Allmendinger is there going for a 4-tire change. While all this is happening, Jamie McMurray during the break came in for his stop. He got 1 penalty for speeding coming in. He just got another one exiting. Let's go back to Mike.
And Juan Pablo Montoya, you heard him complaining about the last set of adjustments. This time down pit road, they're going to try to adjust to the changing track conditions. A chassis adjustment on the 42. Also 4 tires and fuel for Montoya, Doc.
You can sum up Kurt Busch's day with one word: frustration. Again, they will adjust the track bar, air pressure adjustment. He said the car is just so tight, it will not turn. 4 tires, top it off with Sunoco. He is down and away. The 18 car of Kyle Busch in. They're also making a track bar adjustment, changing air pressure, cleaning the grill, and he is away. These guys, surprisingly, guys complaining of being tight, despite the fact that the sun is coming out and the track is heating up.
17 of Matt Kenseth has completed his stop as well, as we've only had the 1 caution. There is Martin Truex Jr. as they're working on the left side on that car. And again, guys, while all this continues, the thing I've noticed, Jimmy Johnson, every single cycle has been able and has stayed out later. Whoa, look out, Doc.
5-car, Mark Martin. Wow, I mean, it was close down here. And Mark just said a moment ago, the car is the best it has been all race. He said, I don't change a thing. Put 4 tires and fill it up with fuel. Whatever you guys have done before, the track is coming to us. Jamie.
And the last round of stops, the right rear on Kevin Harvick's car was glazed, and he said the car was not turning as well. They're continuing to adjust to make this car better. They are going in the right direction. 4 tires, it was good, Mike.
And Jimmy Johnson has been consistent about what he's been complaining about on this car, saying it's just a little bit free. But when he says a little bit, he really means it. A very, very slight bit of freeness. They're not going to make much of an adjustment, just 4 tires and fuel, Doc.
24 car, Jeff Gordon, air pressure. They wanted to change some air pressure in both front tires to try to get some front grip going off turn 1. He's down and away. Jamie.
And Denny Hamlin has gone the extreme opposite. He started out tight most of the race. Now he said he's really loose off, so no adjustments are the call. 4 tires. 4 tires. It was a clean stop and very quick on the 11. And Tony Stewart pulls into the number 1 pit box. He's actually getting faster. His crew told him, hey, a .56, that was your lap time. He goes, you guys are lying. He's getting better as the day goes on. For the 14, 4 tires and fuel is the call.
12.9 seconds, and your race leader is, guess who? Jimmy Johnson. And again, the margin has been cut significantly, but he's been able to maintain it even though he stayed out that extra lap.
Well, that time you saw the top 3 cars fit on the same lap, so shouldn't see that gain on this round of stop.
The interval to Jeff Gordon, as we said, just a tick under 2 seconds, and then it's 9.8 seconds back to Denny Hamlin.
A lot of that interval is while they're making those pit stops. After this thing cycles another lap, I think you'll see it stabilize again. Have to check it as they come back by.
There you can see the
visual. It's back to 3.8 seconds now.
Looking further back, as there you saw Mark Martin. Remember, he had that close call.
He's had a couple today. He had one with Jeff Gordon on one pit stop, and he has another one. Man, right here, this could have been big time.
Yeah,
heads up move by Mark.
Yeah, it's really a great job by Mark Martin, because you're ready to turn in, and if visibility there to your left a lot of times is just not there to be able to make that move.
Well, it's also a great move by all the pit crew members, because if they weren't paying attention, there could have been a catastrophe, to say the least. Another penalty, the 12 of Brad Keselowski. He was really hot, overshot his pit too fast. A drive-through penalty.
The massive Pocono International Raceway, the Tricky Triangle in the mountains of eastern Pennsylvania, hosting the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series for the 66th time today. This unique 3-turn, 3-straightaway track being dominated on this afternoon by the 4-time champion Jimmy Johnson. He's out in front of second place by 2.8 seconds at the moment. Let's get you caught up on what's happened so far with the McDonald's race rundown. Just as they were about to give the command to fire engines, it started raining a little bit, and we had a 35-minute delay, but the track was dry, the cars were fired up, and we went racing. More on the weather momentarily. After so much discussion this week about the tough day Hendrick Motorsports had at Indianapolis, it's been a good day for them so far.
Oh, it's been a fantastic day for both of those guys. You talk about Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon. Jimmy Johnson dominating this race right now. They got their act together, got their wheels back on the wagon.
Mark Martin running 6th at the time, but really the day's been about Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson has been extremely strong. Looks like the Jimmy Johnson of old, the one we've used to come see the last 4 years, just dominating these races. So he's back up front once again.
Took the lead for the first time at lap 22. He's led most of them. Clint Bowyer's been the biggest mover on the day. Started back in 40th, raced his way up to 15th now.
Yeah, real big, impressive move out of Clint Bowyer. 40th, like you said, got real loose qualifying. Had to start in the back, but then just powered through this field right now, like you said, Alan, all the way up to 15th right now, and continue to get up there. And take a look at that. Matt Kenseth has just got lapped by Jimmy Johnson.
Wow. That is the 20th place car, Kenseth, that's gone a lap down. Only one caution in the race so far. That was at lap 15, the competition caution NASCAR threw after the earlier rain. Now, here's a look at the radar. And that stuff out to the west of us, left of your screen, we're keeping an eye on. It's been growing a little bit. It's been creeping closer this way, but it's also been moving toward the north a little bit. Might miss us. We'll see. You look at the sky surrounding this speedway, and there are ominous clouds on both sides, or 2 of the 3 sides of this triangle. Yeah. Correct myself there. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if it plays into things as the day goes on. This particular run of the race almost looking like the last run of the race that we had. Jeff Gordon chopping a little time into Jimmy Johnson's lead. We'll see as we swing to the back half of this long green run, if we get another long green run, if Jimmy moves away again. That's kind of a pattern we've seen a little bit here.
Yeah, it's like he just picks it up when he needs to pick it up. Jimmy Johnson I'm talking about. Jeff Gordon's just been running hard trying to catch him. And it's catch him a little bit every lap. But Johnson has got such a good car. He's just kind of driving, I think, as hard as he needs to drive. In fact, Dale Jarrett mentioned that just a little while ago. I got to agree with him. He's just got a great car. But Denny Hamlin, this guy here, the sun was out a little while ago, guys, and I noticed he was running better when it was hot and sunny. Now it's cooled off a little bit, and he has not run as fast as he did before. So very heat sensitive this track is for Denny Hamlin.
I think if you looked at the drivers running in the top 5 positions right now, Johnson, Gordon, Hamlin, Jeff Burton, and Juan Pablo Montoya, they've been the top 5 for almost the whole distance of this race, with just a couple of exceptions.
They have all been very consistent, and Rusty, watching Denny Hamlin, he's been able to snap off a quick lap here and there. I think Jimmy Johnson, like you say, though, is just kind of biding his time. But if we get an opportunity for for a caution and another restart, it's going to be interesting to watch Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, and Denny Hamlin sort this thing out.
Yeah, guys, when you're like Johnson up front there with nobody around you, you don't have to run every lap like it's a qualifying lap. And I doubt if Jimmy's doing that. He's running good, consistent, smooth laps, giving good feedback to Chad Knaus. There you see car owner Richard Childress on another note up there watching his cars, and they're both running pretty doggone good right now. I see 4th place and 8th for RCR so far.
Plus the Clint Bowyer car we talked about already is the fastest mover of the day. So we're just about at 300 miles in this race. We're watching the radar. We're watching the lap times to see if Gordon can cut into Johnson's lead a little more, or if Jimmy's going to turn it on again in a little while. And Marty Reed, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie, we see a little pattern here, but then, like I'm fond of saying, Andy, stick around to the end, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it looks like this 24 car's found something after that last stop. He's actually made up a couple of seconds on Jimmy Johnson on this run alone, so looks pretty good for Jeff.
Yeah, and I tell you, one thing that could come into factor here, we talk about we've only had that one caution. This is a very physically demanding racetrack because of how hard you have to work, and inside these race cars it gets very warm, so these guys are getting dehydrated, but we've got some guys up here at the very top that are in top condition.
Now you're talking about somebody right here now. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is trying everything he can to try to stay in front of the leader, Jimmy Johnson, just bearing down on him right now. So he's going to have to really focus and drive hard to try to stay on the lead lap.
That's what it looks like from high above. Junior in 19th position, and he is the last car on the lead lap right now. And we talk about the guys who have led the most laps. Well, Jimmy's clinched those bonus points. He's got 94 in the bank, and you can see we're up to lap 119 already. The last 14 Pocono races, the guy who's led the most laps has won 10 of them. So that's one stat in Jimmy's favor. But as we mentioned just a little bit earlier, 3 of the last 4 races where he led the most laps, Jimmy, he hasn't won.
He does not have the fastest race car right now, though. Jeff Gordon does. See, right now it's visibly getting closer.
Let's talk a little bit about the telemetry. As you can see,
well, you can see right here, this is kind of a graph. If it stays on the course that they're running now, their lap times, this shows you what lap that Jeff Gordon is going to overtake Jimmy Johnson. And right now with Jimmy racing the 88 car, it's going to really look even less. It shows 119 laps that we're on. You see it right there. And as you go out there where it turns green on about lap 125, but it might happen on lap 120 because here comes Jeff.
And boy, this is getting good right now.
Yeah, Jimmy's car is not nearly as good in this run, and it looks like Jeff has made his car a little bit better. That sun's gone away. That looked like when Jimmy was able to beat these guys, but Jeff has made adjustments, and everything is working in his favor right now.
Rick Hendrick Motorsports running 1-2, and that, unfortunately for Dale Jr. fans, is a lap down.
And that's Stevie Letarte right there, the crew chief for Jeff Gordon. He's an excellent leader, made a good decision right here. Doc, he's got this car running.
He really does, Andy. Speaking of great decisions, how about Rick Hendrick re-signing Steve Letarte, a 3-year contract extension announced this week. And what Steve did about 10 laps ago prior to that pit stop, he said, Jeff, I want to stay ahead of the track. Let's think ahead now. So he and Jeff talked back and forth, and Jeff said, let's don't touch the track bar. Let's go ahead and get more front grip. We're a little bit tight, so they went with air pressure changes in both front tires. And boy, it is really paying off. He's trying to move on the inside of his teammate, Jimmy Johnson.
He's got the quarter panel. He's up alongside, and we may have our 11th lead change, and we do because Jeff Gordon goes around him down the Long Pond Straight.
That's a lot of hard work Jeff Gordon's put into this, trying to chase him down, and now we've got a caution.
Caution's out.
Our second caution of the day. Word is we have debris on the racetrack.
I still got to be satisfied for Jeff to be able to pass him under green before that caution.
Yeah, I'm sure that he's glad he was able to make that run and show Jimmy, hey, I have the race car now that maybe is a little bit better than yours in this last half of the race.
On board with Jeff. Remember, it's been 49 races since his last win, the longest streak in his career. And with Hendrick Motorsports running 1-2, with all the times we've run here at Pocono, how many times do you think a team has finished 1-2?
I'd say a lot.
It's happened once.
One time. Wow.
One time. Joe Gibbs Racing's 1-2 finish back in June.
Well, one of these teammates is going to get a lap back right here.
Yeah, Dale
right.
Jr.
The Aaron's Lucky Dog does go to Dale Earnhardt Jr., so that'll put him back on the lead lap, give us 19 cars on the lead lap. As we mentioned before, 9 cars are out of this race. You can see Junior talking it over.
He's talking to Lance McGrew on and trying to figure out and get a game plan on what they're going to do to this car, but they got a good break, and Junior drove his heart out right there to try to stay at least close enough to these guys and stay on that Lucky Dog spot.
Waiting to see who's going to come in for pit work. As remember, most everybody came in on lap 106 to lap 108.
Well, I'll tell you, you don't want to be standing at the entrance because you'll get run over. They're going to be coming.
You don't think any of the guys that are a lap down might take the wave around, stay out?
Some of those guys would probably have to try something, and a wave around here is probably a good move because, you know, if you get lucky enough, you can get, you can stay on the lead lap for a while.
You're talking about guys like Kenseth, Menard, Reagan,
they'll have
Smith,
to.
Keselowski, Logano, and Scott Speed. They're all one lap down.
But the leaders are definitely coming here.
There's the 48 crew on the wall getting ready.
And I think some are going to be making some extended or maybe a little extended time on pit road and be making some major adjustments because this is their one chance. They may not get another opportunity here in these next 79 laps. They'll be back on pit road, but maybe not time, maybe another green flag stop where you can't do that much.
All right, they head towards pit road. Let's send it quickly to Mike Massaro.
And Marty, as we took note, that last run toward the end of it, it didn't look like the 48 was running where they had been running earlier in the day as they got bypassed by their teammate Jeff Gordon. This time around, they're going to make a wedge adjustment, also an air pressure adjustment on this car. 4 tires and fuel for Johnson as they complete service on the right side, swing around to the left. Doc?
Jeff Gordon said the car's starting to free up. Do we leave it alone or do we stay ahead? Steve said we're going to stay ahead. Let's make an adjustment. Air pressure and wedge. Jamie.
Jeff Burton in the 31 car in the middle of your screen. He's been struggling with rear grip all day. That is the call again. More wedge and 4 tires. The bottom, Denny Hamlin, it was a clean stop. He said he's snappy loose off 1, tight in the center at 2. Track bar, air pressure, and 4 tires was the call for the 11. And Biffle out plus 11 positions, going with the 2-tire stop again, Marty.
Yeah, the first of all those 10 cars, with the only one being a 2-tire change for Biffle. It worked for him to a point, but there wasn't enough to keep him up front. We'll find out what happens. The biggest loser this time was Jeff Burton as he lost 3 spots.
That's too bad for Jeff because he was one of the faster cars as we had been watching on the racetrack. So good news is he caught up and made up all the ground he had lost under green, but lost a couple spots on pit road.
So let's reset it for you as they are out there on track. It will be Greg Biffle in front. And let's watch the race off pit road again. And we've stopped time momentarily. There we go.
And you see all the cars making those 4-tire stops. And Biffle now, he's already made his stop. And you can see past Jeff Gordon right there as Jeff pulls out of his pit stall.
And you can see from there, Biffle leads the charge, and everybody else follows.
Amazing how competitive these pit crews are and how close together they are.
All right, we'll reset everything for you as we'll step aside quickly here at Long Pond at Pocono International Raceway. It's going to be interesting. We're waiting to see how many are actually going to take the wave around here as we're back here at the Sprint Cup Series at Pocono, presented by Aaron's at Pocono Raceway. Let's take a look at the Fast 5 while we've got a moment.
Let's give these pit crew guys a little pat on the back. Greg Biffle's team with that 6.7 two-tire stop. But look at these four-tire stops, 12 seconds, 12.3 to 12.6. That's incredibly competitive and fast. I mean, 12-second pit stops are incredible. Can't say enough about what these guys do down there.
Tony Stewart's crew, of course, right now Stewart shown in the 5th position. And the wave around is just beginning now, and this is going to be long and lengthy, so hang in there with us. It'll be the 17 of Kenseth, the 38th of Travis Quabble. Jamie McMurray's going to get one of his 2 back. The 98, the 83, the 37, the 6, the 78. There's a bunch of them. 77, 20 of Logano, the 82, the 34, and the 19. So you can see them all going around. Now let's quickly send it down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
As I get ready to restart, guys, a lot of people on pit road have pulled up the weather radar and are watching what's happening just west of the racetrack and conveying that information to their drivers, because some guys are saying we could have rain in as little as 5 to 10 minutes. Others think it's going to go around us, but it's getting dark behind the main grandstands and getting dark over the racetrack, and that means that in the 24 pits where Jeff Gordon is being told rain is coming, so he's going to be very, very aggressive here when the green waves.
5 rain-shortened races here. The last was June of 2007, won by the guy in that 24 car, Jeff Gordon. Now, it could miss us, but let's go back and talk a little bit of strategy. This could play into Greg Biffle's hands very neatly.
Well, Greg Biffle, that last time he did this was the first caution flag, the competition caution. He took 2 tires and he was running about 18th place, and he ended up only going back to about 8th. So it was a net gain for him then. I think that's what he's looking for here. He knows he's got the lead. He doesn't expect to hold it right here with these fast cars on 4 tires, but if it's a net gain like it was last time, it could still really help his cause here.
All right, Greg's going to take the outside. Let's reset it for you. It's Biffle, Gordon on the front row, then Hamlin and Johnson. Row 3, Stewart, Montoya, then Burton, Mark Martin, Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch. That's your top 10 as they head through turn number 3 here at Pocono Raceway, as we have completed what will be lap number 126 of 200 as they come down that long front straightaway. Green flag flies and we're racing again. Gordon coming up on the inside. 3 wide, a little bit further back. That's Bowyer trying to move.
That was a real power move right there. Man, look at him 3 wide off of 1.
Denny Hamlin to the inside.
Denny's going for the lead. Gordon's the meat in this sandwich. Biffle's got the lead right now. Hamlin's got to give back a little bit of what he gained, and here comes Jimmy.
See a little of that draft take effect right there.
Big log jam behind those guys as there's 2 and 3 wide going through 3.
See Kyle Busch dive to the inside here under Jeff Burton as they enter turn 3.
See, that bad pit stop for Burton has really compounded itself here now because he's really tied up in traffic.
Kyle and Kurt Busch as those guys side by side. Let's just let you listen in. Go full throttle for a bit.
11 still in line, peeking on you.
1, he's 20 back. Yep.
16 right on top. When you see the 16. Outside. 11 trying to get outside. You're now outside.
Denny's clear.
Use your shover.
Watch him in your mirror. There you go, driving away now. Here comes a big run on the bottom. Denny pushes the 24 by. Denny's with him.
Corner.
Still outside.
Little run coming now, corner door.
Now 1.5 to the 48. Still 1 to the 48. 48 looking inside, very bottom, 5 Montoya. Looking inside,
looking, you're 2 wide.
Looking. Still looking inside.
Right on top of you. Now 1 lane between you.
That is live telemetry of the race leader.
To the 48.
Denny, Hamlin, wow, what a great sequence of action there. Now let's also update you because remember some of those cars that took the wave around? The 98 of Menard, Logano, Reagan, Sadler, the 17 of Kenseth all snuck in for a quick pit stop. They're still on the lead lap. They're trying to catch back up. Jimmy Johnson goes around Jeff Gordon. So let's reset it for you now. It's Hamlin, Johnson, Gordon, and Biffle is dropped back to fourth on those 2 tires.
That track temperature. Oh, look at Jimmy get out of shape.
Loose. Hang on, fellas.
Here comes Jeff coming back on him.
And we were talking about was Jimmy Johnson holding back or who was doing what, but Denny Hamlin's just now showing his hand. People started talking about it may rain. He wasn't in the position he's accustomed to being in here.
Well, we talked about the guys that are in the top 3 having 10 wins among them here at Pocono, those same 3. And the guy who's trying to go for 3 in a row is up front. Look out, this could get a little dicey. Mark Martin, along with Juan Pablo Montoya and Tony Stewart, and cooler heads prevail. Stewart picks up the spot. Let's go back to Jeff Gordon as he is going door to door and now going past the 48.
Look at the crossover move from Jimmy.
Whoa. And remember, we talked about Kevin Harvick, and while we continue to watch this side-by-side action, Harvick sneaking into this mix.
And we saw this action with Jimmy and Jeff down in Texas. Got a little heated at times. They said everything was okay, but they're racing extremely hard right now.
Lap times 54, high change, low 55s.
If we could look in Denny Hamlin's helmet right now, we'd see a big grin as he looks in his mirror and sees these guys racing as he's pulled out to a 2.5 lead.
It's amazing when you mention rain and the fact we're past the halfway mark, how everybody seems to get up on the wheel. Let's go on board with Denny Hamlin. Boy, his lead is now 1.5 seconds. These are the first laps he's led all day. He picked the right time.
I'll say he did. He made an aggressive move to get the lead.
Close to the wall. Jeff gets even closer. That is a great exit shot there.
You can see just behind Jimmy Johnson there, Biffle's able to hang on there to that 4th spot with those 2 tires. And there's our man again, Kevin Harvick, showing up when it counts.
70 laps to go, 69 this time by. When Hamlin won these last 2 races, he led 91 in August of 09 and 88 earlier this year in June.
And the big loser in this whole exchange has been Jeff Burton. He's dropped all the way back to 9th position. He was running 4th when they made that caution flag stop.
Yeah, Montoya's back there just in 8th, so both of those guys who were running 4th and 5th early on have lost some spots.
And here comes Harvick down that stretch as they head for the tunnel turn, and he's going to take the position away from Greg Biffle. So move Harvick into the 4th position.
You got to love the way Kevin Harvick's driving this race car this year, getting information to his crew as they work on it throughout the day, getting it right when they need it right.
Here comes Jeff Burton alongside of Juan Pablo Montoya. That is for 8th on the track. While that's going on, here's Martin Truex. Now the cross-under move by the 2 of Kurt Busch. And Carl's saying, if you guys give me an opening, I'm going to squeeze through here too. David Rudiman trying to get into that mix as well.
Here comes 3 wide now by Carl Edwards.
Carl's going to go down on the low side. In the middle, it's Kurt Busch. Truex up high. Everybody trying to get as much as they can just in case the rain begins to fall.
You have to think that's a little bit of a factor here in how hard these guys are racing each other, because the crews are telling them, hey, there's rain in the area. We need to try to preserve as much of this track position as we can and steal it if you can.
Yeah, they know that it takes 2 hours to dry this racetrack. If we get a shower now at the time, we could possibly steal, but Truex out of shape.
Man, Martin got awfully close there, and boy, he's going to pay the price. Here comes the double O of Rudiman. He's going underneath the 99 of Edwards. All of a sudden, David Rudiman's gotten a little racy. Newman, and look at Kurt Busch get loose. Truex right behind him.
These cars, since they've gone to the spoilers with another car up behind them, have gotten a lot more loose since back in May. But at a place like Pocono where you don't have that banking to rely on, really becomes a huge factor.
All the way back to the 88 of Earnhardt Jr. This is 4th position. Whoa! Oh, and Busch tags the wall. We'll have to wait to see how much damage is actually happened, but he's going to lose the spot to Truex.
The fence pretty hard.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, he hit pretty hard. I was looking at that left side tire to see if it was sticking out a little bit. That's kind of a telltale sign if he bent the track bar or the mounting system for it.
Junior side by side with Newman.
Like they made a little adjustment on Junior's car. He's able to get up here to these guys.
Making the most of getting that lap back.
Whoa, he hit that bump, and you see how it just dislodged the traction, and he goes up the racetrack.
You don't have to wonder how hard these guys are driving. You can see it. They are really up on the wheel right now.
All right, let's go back. Last couple of laps for Kurt Busch have been eventful, to say the least. Now, this is the first one. This is with Carl Edwards. Here comes Casey Kane. Hello. Battle of the beer wagons.
Wow. Got it both sides.
Then this is the next one.
See, just pushing it. Good thing was, Andy, it looked like that was the tail of the body there, and maybe didn't get the rear axle.
Well, the problem there is they could have gotten that rear spoiler. It did look like it stayed off the suspension, but that spoiler is hanging out pretty far, and it could damage it and really hurt.
Kurt dropped from 13th to 16th through those two sequences of incidents. Meanwhile, here comes Kevin Harvick as he is closing on Jimmy Johnson. Jamie?
And Kevin Harvick radioing to his crew, guys, my water temp is up to 240. I think we have some paper on the grill. His spotter's keeping an eye on it and said it does look like there's something black, so he's trying to get up behind the 48 right there and see if he'll work with them to get that off there and drop those temps a little bit.
Well, we'll try and keep an eye on it from up here, Jamie. There he goes for a moment. RCR's last non-plate win on a restrictor plate track, Charlotte, as he goes underneath him. Forget about taking off the tape.
He had a choice to make right there. Do I take this run I've got and get this spot because you know Jimmy's going to be hard to pass, or do you try to get up behind him and get that paper off?
Yeah, air's going to be cooler out there too.
78's in. Let's listen. They make the stop. Let's go back out 3 wide because Martin Truex gets ahead of Kyle Busch and David Rudiman. Busch slides back. Let's go back up front because right now Denny Hamlin's lead is 1.4 seconds. He doesn't know what he's missing behind him right now because all of a sudden, ever since that last restart, it has been fast and furious as we are working lap number 137 of 200. Well, the tale of two stories for Jamie McMurray. He has 5 finishes this year in the top 2. He's won 2 of the biggest races you can ever imagine. And he's got 9 finishes, a 24th and worse. And here he is in 30th position, a lap down. How do you figure this out?
Well, that is hard to figure out. You think you carry a lot of momentum from last week. I expected Jamie to be really good here.
I think that was pretty much the general consensus on everybody. People we were even talking to down in the garage area.
Of course, he's sitting here. One of the problems that he's had was the 2 pit road speeding penalties has really got him in a bad situation, but they weren't running that good to start with.
Well, we were talking a little baseball, and during the break, Jeff Burton was doing his own slide as he was so close. And here he comes. Right now, Burton has got himself back into the 7th position, but he almost got himself into the fence.
Well, he's trying to make up. Wow. He's trying to make up that ground that he lost on the pit stop, and then he actually even lost more spots on the restart. So he's got a fast car. He's just trying to get it back to the front.
I've always said if you could see the sponsor's name on the side of the car from that angle, that's not good.
Especially if it's the right side.
Yeah. All right, so Burton hanging on right now as he's at 7th. And what about Clint Bowyer? What a day Bowyer has had. He has moved up 31 spots. He's now cracked the top 10 guys. He is running 9th.
Yeah, they must have made a really good adjustment. He got up to that 15th spot we had talked about and was just kind of hanging there for a long time. And since that restart, he's got himself in the top 10 now.
Okay, not much movement in the top 6, but look at the second page. And there you can see why this is so important for Clint Bowyer. He is in that 12th and final spot. Now, who's on the bubble right now? Well, exactly 50 points behind as they run right now would be the 5 of Mark Martin. Let's get more on the 33. Mike Massaro.
Well, Dale just talked about the adjustment they made during the last stop. Well, they just made a wedge adjustment. They were looking for some grip, and they were loose everywhere. Apparently, it has worked out pretty well. Clint came over the radio not too long ago saying this is a little bit better than it was before. But remember, guys, they were awfully confident coming into today. Remember, back in June, they led quite a few laps. In fact, they led 59 laps and finished top 10. They knew they had a pretty good setup for this racetrack. They anticipated having a good run, despite the fact that they had to start all the way back 40th.
And while you were updating that, I just noticed that Juan Pablo Montoya stopped after only 19 laps. There he is. He's got problems because That's Denny Hamlin right on his back bumper, about to put him a lap down.
Yeah, if Montoya's got fresher tires, I don't think you'll see him go a lap down right here unless he's got a problem with his car. Should have fresh enough tires to pull away from Denny Hamlin.
You'll be fine there.
You can hear the crew reassuring Juan Pablo. Let's go back and see if we can see what happened. No word yet from pit road exactly why they came in this early.
You just made a pit stop, so you got to think maybe it was a loose wheel or something like that. You can see right here making the pit stop under green. Whoops.
Ooh, that doesn't look good.
Got a problem here too.
So Juan Pablo Montoya right now, 24th position, the last car on the lead lap. Meanwhile, the battle up front, there you can see it's starting to get a little good again because there's lap traffic in between Denny Hamlin and Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin has been slipping back towards these guys, and Jeff Gordon's going to be on him, but I also see that 29 car. He's coming also. Harvick's got the best, this is the best run he's made all day.
And Jeff's going to want Regan Smith in that 78 to sort of slide out of the way.
He will.
He wants a piece of the 11 if he can get to it. And here comes Kevin Harvick into the mix. There he is, closing in the 29. And you're right, DJ. He hasn't snuck up on anybody today.
No, I think that we've talked about him enough that everybody's been aware of what he's been doing, and boy, he's really made some good adjustments, got himself in a great spot to try to win this race. And talk about Regan Smith, he's a first car lap down right now, so I'm not sure how much he's going to give there. And I think we saw Gordon get up behind him, kind of lost the nose of his car, and that's what these guys typically fight as they try to pass any cars, whether it's a lap car or not.
Well, the guy he has to worry about for that lucky dog position would be the 12 of Brad Keselowski, but Keselowski is several car lengths back. Stay with us. Well, while we were in break, we had our third caution of the day come out in the race off pit road. 2 tires this time for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Pays big dividends, at least for now, as he picks up 14. Tony Stewart picks up 3. Kevin Harvick holds station. Jeff Gordon loses 2. And Jimmy Johnson drops 6 in the exchange and now finds himself 10th coming off pit road. Big break now for Dale Earnhardt Jr. The reason for the caution, there was a very sizable chunk of metal down in turn number 1, and it was in the race line. Free pass is going to go to the 78 of Regan Smith. And to give you an idea, there is the chunk of metal, and I don't think anybody wants to be running over that.
No, absolutely not. And how about Dale Jr. up here? I know they just took the 2 tires, but they were just a lap down not too long ago.
Lance McGrew and the crew doing a good job of getting him back up there.
Let's go back and review the pit stops and see if we can see what happened, especially on that 48 car. Mike, pick it up for us, buddy.
And Jimmy came down pit road. He was feeling like the car was a little snug center and a little bit loose off, so they're going to try to make that adjustment. They made a chassis adjustment on the track bar, a 4-tire change. Hard to tell exactly where they lost time, but Chad came in over the radio talking to Jimmy afterwards saying, I need you to come down pit road a little bit harder. Next time, he felt like that's where they were giving up something on the racetrack, Doc.
And top of your screen, pretty good stop for Jeff Gordon. They went back up a half round on the track bar and made an adjustment on the air pressure going back to where they were on the previous pit stop in terms of the handling package. Kevin Harvick away, and Jamie, Denny Hamlin was down toward you.
Yes, he was. Kevin Harvick, it was a clean stop, no adjustments the last 3 stops in a row, so he was flat, didn't gain, didn't lose, but Denny Hamlin was a loser there, -4 positions, just a slow stop for him. He said he's loose off, the tires are just over-rotating. Air pressure was the only call, and that shouldn't take any extra time, guys. It was just low for the 11.
Well, and a guy that's going to benefit out of this is Juan Pablo Montoya. Remember, he came in early, he almost went a lap down, and right now he's able to stay back out, and at this moment is shown as the race leader. And we're still going to try and track down exactly why he came in early, but it could turn out to pay big dividends for you as you're over the wall with Kenyatta Houston as he does his job on the 78. So the pit stops under caution here, our third of the day, are concluded, and we're going to go green here soon. So we're going to go one more lap. We found another piece of metal. There it is, right there on the track. And we had 8 cars take the wave around, and our Aaron's lucky dog goes to the 78 of Regan Smith. So that, with the wave around, will now give us a total of 27 cars on the lead lap. And we should tell you, Kyle Busch was in for an extended stay. They were up underneath looking at the radio. We're wondering if maybe that first piece of metal might have been off of his car.
Yeah,
we're not sure.
I suspect it could have been off of the 18.
All right, there's Kyle. He's back out on the track. Let's go back and show you the race off pit road because Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now in second place behind Juan Pablo Montoya. Here's the story.
Okay, you see all the leaders are on pit road. Denny Hamlin was the leader when they made this stop. And this is where that strategy play comes in. And Lance McGrew does a great job with Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting these 2 tires. And you can see right here, he's going to just get out of his pit stall ahead of a group of cars coming behind him. And the key thing is he's going to pass Denny Hamlin, who was the leader. And you can see now how much Junior gains and how much this 11 car loses right here, just by a little bit. But boy, those spots are valuable.
And now let's shift gears and talk about Juan Pablo Montoya because you and Doc laid out the groundwork that if you were within 15 seconds of the race lead, you could afford to make a pit stop. The car, we found out from Mike Massaro, was not handling real well, and he made the stop, and now the caution comes out. Bingo.
It's a little bit of that road course strategy. This track is just about big enough to do that. And Brian Patty, very smart crew chief, he makes this call when the car's not right. He says, okay, let's get in here and make a pit stop, get 4 tires, make an adjustment, and gamble on having a caution. If the caution comes out and we're on the lead lap, we stay out and gain the lead. And that's exactly what's happened right here. Great move by that team.
We saw Kyle Busch come back in and go back out. Doc, what's the latest?
Well, the debris that brought the caution out, guys, was a radiator pan from beneath the 18 car, as you guys have speculated. You're exactly right. They came in and screwed a piece of sheet metal on, and it couldn't get it all the way in, and we went out the backstretch, went down to turn 2, it came off again. So that was the other piece of debris that came out just a moment ago. So as we'll show you, they were trying to get the piece on, and he went back on the racetrack and watched the piece. You just saw it shear away beneath the car and go flying away and come down on the racetrack. That was the patch they had put on after the original pan had come off by the car bottoming out going down into turn 1. So they brought him back in. They're not going to fix it now. They're going to try to put some sealant around it and some tape and just have him deal with it for the final laps.
All right, they're coming through turn 3. Thanks for the update, Doc. Great work there. So now everybody knows what happened to Kyle Busch. He's in 27th. It's Montoya up front. Does the early stop pay dividends? He's on the outside of Dale Jr. Then it's Gordon, Stewart, Harvick, Hamlin. That's your top 6. We're back to green at Pocono. Great restart for Montoya. Jeff Gordon in second. Dale Jr., remember, he's on 2 fresh tires. He's got the low line. Here comes Denny Hamlin on the high side. Dale slides up. Hamlin goes to the inside now, trying to get underneath the 88.
Yeah, we have 3 wide right behind that.
Kevin Harvick. Whoa, that was a dicey bit of a move right there, and it was the 33 of Clint Bowyer.
You can see all 3 of the RCR cars there right in line on the bottom side.
Denny Hamlin's car really goes the first lap or 2 after a restart. That's where he gained all that time on the last restart.
Well, the 2 tires are not working too well for Junior at this moment. He's been passed now by the 14. Here comes Harvick. Battle for the race lead. Montoya with Jeff Gordon now going underneath him as they head down towards 1.
See if Gordon's able to hold that car down on the bottom and get a run up out of turn 1. Got those 4 fresh tires. Montoya hanging tough on the outside.
Side by side, they continue
Good
this
job
battle.
there. All clear.
He holds on to the position. Look at further back. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Burton. They're going 3 wide. Jimmy going to try it. Here we go. They are side by side. Kurt Busch looking on right behind.
These cars just don't drive the same when you get back in traffic like this, and these guys are just fighting for everything they can get right now.
Oh, look at Hamlin get out of shape off 3.
Denny gets loose, and here comes the 14, the 88, the 99, Carl Edwards. They're all going to take advantage of it. Harvick as well, heading down into 1. The 2 guys up front don't know what they're missing behind them. And it looks like Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart pick up the biggest advantage from Hamlin's error.
See if Tony can get that run from the top side and clear Carl Edwards here.
Heading down towards turn 2, the tunnel turn, still side by side. Edwards inside of Tony Stewart.
I think Tony might try a crossover here, see if he can get back to the throttle.
That's exactly what he's trying.
Tony at Pocono, 9 top 10 finishes in the last 10 races, top 3 finishes in 3 of the last 4, and he clears the 99.
That's a power move. Here comes Carl. He was going back, but Jeff Gordon trying to make this move on Montoya.
Here we go again, the battle for the race lead. We've had 8 different leaders. We've had 16 lead changes. Do we get 17? Still side by side. Further back, look at way back there.
That's Johnson down the bottom.
Jimmy's trying it. Here we go again into 1. That low line, can he hang on? To the left side, Carl Edwards gets loose.
Harvick had to crack the throttle just a second because he wasn't sure that Edwards...
Here comes Gordon for the lead.
Again, as these two just keep going door handle to door handle. Montoya on the high side. Fans are standing in.
Oh, what great
race. There's Johnson 3 wide.
And Jimmy felt like the sandwich in that one for sure. And here he comes right back underneath.
And here comes Gordon for the lead at the exact same time.
Whoa, it's so good right now. Everywhere we're looking, we've got battles going on. Gordon clears the 42 finally. Our 17th lead change.
Man, can we take a breath yet?
No, not yet. Keep going, because here, a little bit further back, there was Ruderman trying to make a move. Further back, Kyle Busch, as he has been working his way back up. Remember, he was 27th? Well, he's up to 23rd right now. So, action all throughout the lead lap cars. We have 27 on the lead lap. Carl Edwards takes a little peek at the 14. All right, we got a moment here. Let's go back and show you what happened to Denny Hamlin, because Denny right now is 6th, and this is how it all happened.
Well, let's see if we get... Oh, yeah. See, Tony got a little bit loose and got into him there. That'll cause you to get loose.
And then look at Carl Edwards make this move.
And Harvick goes right with him. And that is why Denny is all of a sudden finding himself back in 6th. So his quest for 3 in a row and 5 wins in total here at Pocono, he's got a little work to do. Who has the most wins all time? Bill Elliott. He's got 5 here at Pocono. Welcome back to the Pennsylvania 500. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. We are under our 4th caution. Dale Earnhardt Jr. got loose, turned it around, and that is why we are tightening up the field once again. Let's go on board.
Nobody needed a caution any worse than Dale Earnhardt Jr. because he was sliding backwards, and now he really is sliding backwards. He gets the caution he's looking for.
There you go.
That's that old saying.
Straight up there. Caution is out.
We needed a caution, and we are it.
Yeah, I guess it's a gamble they had to take with the 2 tires. It looked like it may be pretty good there for a while, but Andy, I told you, I'd never really liked the idea of putting 2 tires on a race car that you're struggling with the handling to start with, but now maybe they can work on it a little bit.
All right, what are we going to see on pit road? Let's check in with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, just listening to Jeff Gordon and the guys here talking about what's going on, and obviously with the weather moving in, they just pitted 11 laps ago. They're going to stay out. Most of the leaders will stay out, and besides, if they pitted, they're not in their fuel window anyway to make it all the way to lap 200. So, according to a discussion a moment ago on the radio, Steve Letarte said, we're going to stay out. The weather's coming, and if it gets here in time, we'll win the race, and if not, we'll pit and we'll win it that way. So, a lot of positive vibes down here in the 24 pits. Jamie.
And Denny Hamlin not sounding too excited right now. First of all, before the caution, he was having some brake issues, but now he's talking to his crew chief, Mike Ford. Mike said, what do you think? And Denny said, man, I just don't think we have the car to win it outright. So maybe we gamble, maybe we come in, and that's what they're talking about doing right now. They're leaning on the side of coming in, guys.
Well, we have 27 cars on the lead lap, soon to be 28 because Sam Hornish will get the free pass. And here we find out who's going to come and who's going to stay out.
Talk about rain. Stay out. Stay out.
Just missed. That was 99 of Carl Edwards.
Now see Carl going back up to his spot. He can't do that. He'll have to fall back in line once you do that.
Some of the takers are Ryan Newman, Casey Kane, A.J. Allmendinger, Martin Truex, Kyle Busch, and you see the work already going to the 39.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity for these cars to try to make up a little ground here. Those cars staying out, and if things fall their way here, caution flags flies right, this can really pay off. Like Doc said, they can't go all the way from here, but it does put them in a better position, tire-wise and fuel-wise, for this last pit stop. Still working on the 18. They've got that ductwork. Looks like it had been hitting the ground and rubbing until it finally did fall off of there, and they're trying to get it fixed back.
All right, so as we said, we're under our 4th caution. Let's give you another view as how close it was when Carl Edwards decided at the last minute to say, I'm going to reconsider this move. There's the commitment cone. Thank you for not hitting it. Stay with us.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that we've seen today is this temperature swing, and who's been good when the track is at its hottest, I think, was the 48. But when the track cooled back down, you can see right there, it was 99 degrees on lap 80, and that's when Jimmy was kind of dominating the race. But since it's cooled off, it doesn't look like that 48 car is nearly as good as the 24 and a lot of other good cars.
Let's listen to Jeff Gordon's radio.
I thought they were all coming. Yeah, I wasn't feeling real good about it until I saw the 5 turn back out, and then he took about 8 more with him. Man, it's on us, man. I can't get any closer without raining. We're not on the green yet, but we're on the edge.
And what he's talking about, obviously, he was worried about being out there all alone with older tires.
Yeah, and Steve Letarte made the right decision to keep him out there because the rain is coming. See right here, everybody looked like they were coming. Mark Martin started the fake, and then you see Tony. Then Carl was the very last one to abort. And then you see the other cars that did come in.
Of course, Steve Letarte just got a new contract.
A good friend, and well-deserved, too. He's a hard-working young man, very smart. He's done a great job. And I know this won't come into factor, guys, because either rain or a caution or something, but Sam Hornish, who just got the free pass, he was in the pits, and just as he went down the front straightaway here to get caught up, he was cutting his engine off, coasting. So I know we have 38 laps to go. I know that's probably stretching it, Andy, but
yeah, I'd be stretching it a long ways, but hey, why not try it?
You saw the radar. Let's reset it for you. It's Gordon and Montoya up front, then Harvick and Stewart, then Biffle and Hamlin. 7th is Edwards and Mark Martin 8th. Jimmy Johnson, Burton 10th, and Clint Bowyer is back to 11th. Fans are on their feet. They have seen a lot of action, especially in the last 35 laps, and we're back to green at Pocono. Gordon gets a great restart. Oh, man, we're going to go 4 wide. Somebody better give. Truex underneath the 9 of Casey Kane. Somehow they all squeeze through.
Bowyer loose there.
There's still 3 wide coming down that back stretch. Truex is in the inside. There's Jamie McMurray. Reagan right behind there. A lot of fresh tires from those guys.
Well, that's the thing you're seeing now. Cars with fresh tires, some that have a few laps, and the fast guys are the best tires are in the rear.
Yeah, we talked about McMurray. You know, he was 2 laps down at one time. He's back on the lead lap battling. He's in the 17th spot.
Carl Edwards trying to duck underneath. You saw that move, and there's Denny Hamlin as he's trying to work his way back up. He's shown in the 6th spot right now.
Well, Montoya is still chewing on the back bumper of Jeff Gordon. He's not giving up on winning this race yet.
No, remember last year we talked about it. Montoya had that mistake at Indy, ended up ruining the day. He led the most laps. He comes back here and finishes 2nd. Guess where he's running right now? 2nd after having another disappointment at Indy.
Yeah, and saw Greg Biffle there get almost caught the left rear quarter panel of Tony Stewart as he slid up the racetrack down the middle of 1.
Down the stretch, and boy, look at Clint Bowyer. He goes underneath the 2 of Kurt Busch, and boy, he takes both of them.
2 for 1 special right there.
That's just using the draft at its best right there. But here comes Jimmy's going to come back to the inside of the 2 also as they get down to 3. Watch this.
And all of a sudden, he had picked up 2 and
lost them both.
Loses them both. Oh my, this is such fun.
You know, if you heard early when Jerry Punch interviewed Denny Hamlin, he said there's only so fast that you can go through the center of these corners. That was a perfect example. You can't go through there that fast without losing the car.
You saw Stewart and Biffle. They're running 3rd and 4th. Back further, though, this is Jeff Burton. He's going underneath the 99 of Carl Edwards.
Bowyer gets that spot back from the 2. See if he can hold it this time.
He's sliding up the track. Here comes Kurt.
Yeah, here comes that 2 car again.
Keep the camera.
Look at Jimmy.
Yeah, right there. We could keep both these battles in the shot. Great job, guys. Down the stretch. Look out. Trouble. Kurt's into the wall. Boyer's in it as well. And Kurt's getting the worst of it.
Like a little bump drafting going on right there. We're trying to gain the advantage. Looks like the 48 got into the back of him a little bit.
Boy, he almost came back out onto the track right there. And there is the view as Kurt takes the wheel off.
Man, look at this car.
Oh, man, further back, Elliott Sadler. And look at this.
Gosh.
The engine is out of this thing.
Oh, my God.
Well,
that's the whole suspension. It's like the front part of the front suspension.
The window net is down for Elliott. He's got the helmet off already. That is the best news.
You can see he is hurting.
He is in some pain. Oh, man. I hate to see this. Look at the front of that car.
The engine completely out of the car.
Can't remember the last time I saw one like that.
Kurt has climbed out. Well, I have to be honest with you. The last time I saw it was back when we were covering drag racing. And it's not a pretty sight when they have that happen over there either.
And Kurt took a hard lick also.
He's walking under his own power. But right now, Elliott Sadler, we have a red flag situation as Elliott did climb out of the car himself, but he has laid down right on the straightaway there. And the medical crew is there already. And just think good thoughts, folks, because that was a heck of a lick.
Has to be a situation of Elliott getting maybe clipped from behind as all of this was taking place in front of him. All right, getting that little inside part here.
Let's go back.
Here's what Andy was talking about. The 48 was right on the 2. Looks like he might have got into him a little hard and turned him.
Yeah, he was trying to help him pass this 33 car, Clint Bowyer, but yeah, that went bad there.
That's a hard lick at 180 miles an hour.
And then Bowyer tags Kurt Busch. There's where the front wheel came from, maybe off of this 2 car. Yeah, there it comes loose. And then Kurt takes a pretty hard lick here on this inside wall. We've been talking about the safety, or lack thereof, on this back straightaway at this track. I mean, it's the grass is kind of a situation that's really hard to deal with when you have these cars getting off into it.
It was a situation that track officials were addressing this weekend. They're talking about putting catch fence along that straightaway. Let's take another look at it, and also putting safer barriers on the inside of this wall.
You can see Bowyer was trying to side draft a little bit at the same time, so there wasn't any room for any error there.
I'm still trying to figure out, how Elliott Sadler got into all this. On board with David Rudiman.
He gets a good view of Kurt Busch.
He makes it through.
There's the tap right there. It wasn't intentional on Jimmy's part, but definitely that's what caused this, was that contact from Jimmy's front bumper.
Kurt, talk to me. All right, buddy.
Okay, let's. We think we've seen an angle. Check the lower right of your screen.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Hey, look at that.
Head on into that Armco.
That's down in a 90-degree corner.
See what we can see from up high.
So we talk about things that need to be addressed at certain tracks, and that's certainly an issue right there.
Oh, that's a big-time issue. Just couldn't have been any worse, and that's what happens. I mean, these cars will find the absolute worst place to hit.
See, Kurt just misses that.
Well, you can see that the cleanup is going to take quite a while here, as we are under a red flag condition with 35 laps remaining. And obviously, we'll get an update on Elliott's condition as soon as possible. Boy, you go from the highest high. He had a wonderful day yesterday in that Camping World Truck Series race, won it, sat on pole, and then to come out today and have it end like this. All right, let's go back. We'll listen into Jimmy Johnson's radio this time, see what we can glean from this.
Man, that was kind of my fault. Bill, those guys, I'm sorry. I was trying to bump draft him like you wanted me to. 10-4.
So Jimmy's saying, I think it's my fault. And do you notice the raindrops beginning to fall? As you can see on the car right there. That was a battle for 10th that was going on between the 2, the 48 and the 33. And that's what's left of the number 19 of Elliott Sadler. This cleanup, as we said, it's going to take a bit of time. We're going to step aside for a few moments. We'll get you an update on Elliott's condition as soon as possible. We are under a red flag situation here at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series event at Pocono. It's presented by Aaron's, 35 laps remaining. And it all started with Jimmy Johnson trying to bump draft, and it just went wrong.
Well, it's just, he's trying to get a little bit of a push. They'd been battling here, the Clint Bowyer and the 2 Kurt Busch. You can see he just gets in, but they're so close. The 33 was down trying to side draft the 2 a little bit, and then as Kurt Busch comes back across, he gets hit again. Pieces start flying off. And as bad as this is, we thought this was the worst, and there's another hard hit, but not bad. We saw Kurt get out and walk away, but a lot worse was happening even behind this with Elliott Sadler.
Mike Massaro has caught up with Kurt. Let's talk to him.
And Kurt has just walked out of the care center. First off, how are you?
I feel pretty good.
What happened?
Got wrecked on the straightaway.
How did it happen?
Jimmy Johnson drove straight through us.
Okay. Thank you, Kurt. Obviously, Kurt very upset with the situation, and pretty quick assertion of what happened.
Well, and you heard Jimmy, I think a little earlier on the radio saying, I think I started all that, and he was trying to bump draft, and obviously Kurt doesn't want to hear that right now.
No, it wasn't an intentional situation, certainly. It's hard racing, and, the bad thing, Kurt and Jimmy have had their issues before, and so, Kurt's going to look at it in that situation. I'm not saying he's wrong for doing that, but...
coming from his seat, I mean, he just got crashed from behind.
Yes, exactly. And on the straightaway, as he said.
All right, let's go back and show you one more time, and then we'll listen in on the radio. And here is the sequence as Jimmy was trying to bump draft, and it just got ugly from this moment. As Kurt hits the wall, then comes down and gets collected again by the 33 of Bowyer.
Man, that was kind of my fault. Bill, those guys, I'm sorry. I was trying to bump draft him like you wanted me to. 10-4.
And then Elliott Sadler, this is the only angle we really have of this, folks. Just watch on the right side of your screen. It will come into play here. And it is a wicked hit.
This is ugly right here. You see, he comes just at the worst place you could hit at this track. Man.
So much force that the motor was ripped off the mounts. The whole front portion of the car literally destroyed. And cleanup, continue the cleanup. We have just been informed that the 19 of Elliott Sadler, good news here, folks, he is going to be released from the medical center here momentarily. Mike Massaro is standing by, and we'll hopefully be able to talk to him. But, man, look at that race car.
No fixing that car. That's one going in the trash can right there. Man.
All right, we're going to take another break while we have the opportunity, and as we said, we're waiting for Elliott to be released from the infield care center. As soon as we can, we'll talk to him and bring it to you here at Pocono.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Pocono Raceway. Coverage today presented by Aaron's. 35 laps to go in today's race, and we are under the red flag after 2 separate but related scary accidents out heading into turn number 2 in the back straightaway. We heard from Kurt Busch a minute ago. Mike Massaro's with Elliott Sadler now, Mike.
And Alan, Elliott Sadler took a very heavy lick, just walked out of the care center. How are you?
Actually, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm a little sore, I think, from where the belts grabbed me. It knocked the breath out of me pretty good, but definitely the hardest hit I've ever had in a race car. But, these new cars are built to be safer, and if I can get out of that and walk through that, I think, it did its job. So not sure what happened. I know some guys got spun out or moved around up in front of us, and I saw some smoke, and everybody started checking up. I checked them. Whoever was behind me did not run in the back of us and knock me down through the grass. So not the day we wanted to have with the U.S. Ford, but it's just a tough day.
After the day you had yesterday, how do you put this in perspective?
Yesterday was a great day, and it's still a great weekend, and it was so cool. All my guys on my 19 car and everybody from U.S. Air Force and Stanley and Coca-Cola and everybody called me and congratulated me yesterday, and that was a great win for us. So, I messed up today, spun on the front stretch, and my team didn't give up, and we were fighting our way back to it and just didn't make it to the end. So I'm just glad I'm okay. I'm glad that my team at home do a good job building safe race cars.
We're glad you're okay, too.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.
Elliott Sadler walking away in good spirits after taking a very heavy lick. Alan?
That is certainly wonderful to hear those words from his mouth after watching this hit.
This is just.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's take a look at this one more time.
It's
Unbelievable.
just unbelievable.
I mean, you talk about, Brad, how safe these cars are. That's amazing. These new seats are used now, and the belt systems. To take a wreck like that and just walk away and then do an interview.
Yeah, and you see him here, and he's had the breath knocked out of him. He's trying to get his air, and ribs are probably a little bit sore from those belts grabbing him and the seat hugging him. But look at that thing is shortened up 4 foot. Look at the left front tire is basically at the firewall, and that is an incredible impact. I'm looking at that area on the racetrack, and I'm trying to figure out why that wall juts out like that. It just doesn't make any sense as you sit there and look at it. You get off the racetrack and get into that sod, get into the grass, and that thing is just sticking out, waiting to be hit, Rusty.
Well, I think that there's many racetracks that get updated, and this is one of them. Obviously, that'll happen to. But Brad, going back to Elliott for a second. I mean, I've been in this position a bunch where you get hit so hard, you get out, knocks the breath out again. You're able to crawl out of the car, then you immediately get so dizzy you can't even move, and you sit back down, get your bearings straight. And Alan, that is probably one of the toughest hits I've seen in a long time.
Oh, yeah. The heaviness of the side, sideways and front, the forward motion and so on. Now, let me first of all, blanket statement here. Through the history of auto racing, safety improvements have come when bad things have happened. Take a look at a race car. When you think everything's as good as it needs to be, somehow the speed and the inherent danger of this sport will show you that there's something that can be made better. Racetracks are the same way. Find a spot where you think a race car can't get.
Oh, it's there.
And somehow over the years, action will show you that a race car can get. Now, after the scary crash we had at the conclusion of the June race here in that same part of the racetrack, Pocono Raceway announced that they were going to initiate a series of safety improvements. With only 6 weeks between their two races, those improvements couldn't be done between the June race and now, but the plan had already been announced to install the safer barriers on that inside section of racetrack between turns 1 and 2 and between turns 3 and 4, as well as some other safety improvements already in the works. Fortunately, in a way, Elliott Sadler fine after that crash. Unfortunately, those changes to that area of the racetrack, one race too late to prevent that vicious crash we just saw a minute ago. But again, fortunately, Elliott, you heard from him just a minute ago, okay, and able to speak with us and walk away after that vicious crash.
That's a good part. It'll be water cooler talk tomorrow. There's no doubt about that. They'll talk about why was that wall like that. Then they'll listen to what you just explained, and it'll get fixed for next time. And this is a great racetrack and a great family, and they'll jump on this and they'll fix this issue. But this isn't the first time this has happened. There's many other tracks that have been updated along the way, and that'll continue to happen. But I will tell you, they're all getting better than they've ever been before. These new soft wall, these safer barriers have been fantastic, Brad and Alan.
As a driver and as a fan, you want to see that done as soon as possible to prevent something like that from happening in the future. Talked about safety advances, some of the things Elliott Sadler talked about that helped keep him safe and allowed him to walk away from that crash. Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage can do a little show and tell for us, Tim.
Thanks, AB. That was probably one of the most violent crashes I've seen in over 40 years of racing. But still yet, I'll show you how the engines are actually bolted into the car. This bulkhead right here is basically bolted to the front of the chassis. One on the left side, one on the right side. Back here, we've got another bulkhead right here that bolts to the bell housing. Even back under the transmission, there's a cross member. There's safety bars back in this area here that make this chassis really strong in front. You can see all this supporting bars back in this area right here. It's all to make the chassis stronger and safer for the driver. But once you come back to the driver's cockpit itself, the seat itself, the belt systems that we use in here, and the most important thing that's came around in a long time is the Hans device. The Hans device basically goes underneath the seat belts right here, and it keeps your head and your neck from going forward. How it does that? Right here. Through this harness system, it keeps your head from going forward on impact, and I guarantee you right now, Elliott Sadler's out walking around today because of this Hans device.
Tim, that's an amazing explanation. But, one other question I'd like to ask you is you see that engine laying out there. A lot of people think, how in the world can an engine actually get ripped out of a car like that? these engines have about 4 mounting points. Maybe you could point them out where they're located at and how that can possibly happen, because it's about, 3/8 bolts that actually hold the engine in. It can be sheared off pretty easy.
Yeah, Rusty, the engines are bolted in, but all the devices that are attached to the engine helps make it a structure of the car is really strong. But when that engine gets pitched out, I've seen Ricky Rudd hit the wall at Martinsville in a test, and the engine was literally setting back here at the windshield. But there again, Jeff Gordon hit the wall in Las Vegas. That was very devastating. The only crash I've ever seen that comes close to that was Don McTavish at Daytona when he hit gate 7 off turn 4, and that was devastating also.
All right, Tim, thank you. So a little look at some of the safety equipment and some thoughts of the past. You see NASCAR and some of the track officials back there looking at that inside guardrail. Jeff Gordon has had a very severe crash at this racetrack a few years back when he lost his brakes going off into turn 1, and he was sure glad the safer barrier was on that wall that day.
Yeah, Brad, this is the one I was talking about. He lost the left front brakes, and this car went flying down into the corner, went through the grass. Jeff told me he tried to slow it down by getting the grass wide open, driver's side first, into the safer barrier, and look, he just walks away. That's how safe these new carbon fiber seats that Jeff's sitting in right now really are. And this new car has really made this thing a lot safer, Alan.
Let me turn the conversation from the accident to the race situation at the moment. It has rained while they've been sitting under this red flag, cleaning up the cars and cleaning up some of the accident debris out there in turn number 2. You can see, if you got a widescreen TV on the very right of the screen, you can see Jeff Gordon's windshield is dotted with some raindrops. So we've got 35 laps to go. If this race does or doesn't restart from here, Jeff Gordon has been very strong all day, and this could be maybe a little lost sight of in the more important safety issues of the moment, but this could be the day Jeff Gordon breaks the long winless streak right here.
It very well could be, and he's been strong all day long, so if he does win it, it's not a fluke that he's won. He's been, I'm not going to say dominating, but he's been up in the top 3 all day long. But Alan, as you're saying that, I am looking behind us out the pit studio here, and I see everything dry.
Yeah.
So it's not raining right now.
Yeah. Jeff Gordon is very strong. Montoya is hungry, but I think Tony Stewart is coming, and I think we're going to go back racing here soon.
All right. Jeff Gordon's crew chief, Steve Letarte, is with Dr. Jerry Punch. And, Doc, if they roll him off here and we're going to go back racing, what do we see from this 24?
Well, why don't we ask him? I've been listening and eavesdropping between he and Jeff Gordon a little bit ago, talking back and forth. Now, Steve, you're watching the sky, watching the radar, and checking the lap counts. The way I see it, you are 2 laps away from your window and 15 away from having to pit for the final time. What do you do?
Well, it looks like we have 5 or 10 minutes here for NASCAR to repair that wall, so we should know whether we're going to be out of the rain or not. But we're going to be aggressive, that's for sure. We're going to go for the win any way we can, whether that's to come pit or to stay out. We haven't decided yet, but DuPont Charlotte's been good, real good all weekend long. It's real good today. Just drove a great race, so hopefully we can get it to fall our way.
You were chasing the track early on. I heard you kept telling Jeff, we're going to stay ahead of it. We're going to think ahead of the track. And when the sun came out, the car got a little bad, got a little tight. And then when it went back in, you guys got really, really good. Any changes here if you would make a final stop?
I think we need to work on it a little bit. I mean, you can always be better. But Jeff's feedback's been great today. That's something we've worked on all year long. And I feel this is probably one of the better races we've had for it.
All right, Steve Letarte up here, and boy, do these guys want a win. It has been 49 starts, Jamie, back to March 5th, 2009 at Texas since Jeff Gordon has gone to victory lane.
Well, it's been quite a while for the 14 of Tony Stewart as well, and Darian Grubb, his crew chief, sitting here. You guys have a nice view down into turn 1 here. So what do you do? This thing goes green. Are you counting that we're going to get 35 laps in?
It's still kind of a call right now. It's too hard to make. It's going to see how long it's going to take them to drive the track and also repair that wall back there. There's a little bit of a cell coming, but it looks like we should be able to get full race distance in, so just have to see how everything goes and how long it takes before we go back green.
So just tell me a little secret between us. You guys pit?
You'll know when I keep the radio up.
Oh, there you go. He's playing coy with us. I just asked him, hey, Tony Stewart's been pretty quiet on the radio during this red flag, and he said, yeah, he's probably sleeping, just resting up for another 35 laps. Marty.
All right, thank you, Jamie. And you can see the raindrops on Smokes number 14, Old Spice Chevrolet, as we are under this red flag situation. And it gives us a chance to check in with Mike Massaro. He's caught up with Brian Patty.
And Brian assessing the situation right now. Assuming we go back green before the rain comes, what's the plan?
Not sure yet. We'll have to see the weather. Obviously, it's going to play a big role. If we're going to complete the laps, we can't go many more laps, if it goes back green. So we'll see. This car's been really good. It's the best we've run here at Pocono in a long, long time. So, it's good that we've had decent pace, and P2 right now is not too bad either.
How do you feel you match up with Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart right now?
It seems like the 14 we can get away from a little bit, but the 24's got a really good car. So, if the leader takes the outside, getting through one's a struggle on the bottom, and that's why we just got single file and did the best we could, and it worked out so far. So, we'll see. We'll see on the next time.
All right, thank you, Brian. Obviously, guys, this team looking for some redemption after last week.
All right, thank you, Mike. And you can see there is the work on the barricade on the turn 2 area, and that is where I believe that's where Kurt Busch's contact was. So yes, there is the marks. So that work is going to take us a little bit more time, and as you can see at the top of your screen, our red flag is now 25 minutes, just shy of that. And it's going to take us a few more minutes before we go back to green flag racing, because we got to make sure this track is totally dry. It is not raining at this moment, so stay with us.
Checkered flag in the air, the 52nd Daytona 500 to Jamie McMurray.
That was so awesome. I told my wife today, she's like, if you win tonight, I'm gonna cry. It's unbelievable, really. I can't explain it.
The question now was only about fuel. Frankitti's last lap at only 208 miles an hour.
Take your time.
Everyone in the grandstands are on their feet.
Checker flag. Well done. Well done, boys.
Chip has won the Daytona 500 and now the Indianapolis 500. Chip Ganassi, he knows he's this close to making history. Jamie McMurray is going to win Daytona and the Brickyard 400.
Chip Ganassi saying, pinch me, is this real?
Yes! Yes!
Well, that was just a week ago. Jamie McMurray was at one point 2 laps down in this race, as he had 2 speeding penalties, one entering and then another one exiting. Right now, he is shown in 15th. And yes, if you hear the grumble of race engines, that's right, they have refired. Let's talk to him. DJ?
Hey, Jamie, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Yeah, loud and clear.
All right, man. Been quite an adventuresome day for you. How's your car right now?
It's the best it has been all day. Bono's done a really good job of making the right pit calls there and getting us back on the lead lap, and they've made the right adjustments. So it's a lot better than it was at the beginning of the race. So this is going to be a little bit crazy, I think, when we go back green. Some guys with tires, some with not. So it should be exciting for everybody.
Hey, Jamie, have track conditions changed a lot as the sun went in and out, and we've been under clouds here quite a bit lately?
Yeah, definitely. The track seems to be really sensitive to the sun. Just amazing the amount of grip that the track will gain when the sun goes away. So yeah, absolutely. And it's I got a dark shield on. It's pretty dark out here right now, so it's gonna be wild here.
All right, man. Have fun, and we'll watch you go to the front.
Okay, 10-4, thanks.
You know, he makes a good point. You can see the shield right there, DJ. You remember those moments, and how bad was it to see?
Yeah, it gets very difficult, and a lot of times, depending on how much air you have coming in the car, you had to raise that shield at times. A lot of guys don't like to do that.
Well, especially right now, we've got so much debris and speedy dry on the track. If they raise that shield and try to race, they'll just get a face full of dirt. Mark's got the clear one on, he'll be fine.
Yeah, you see, some guys probably noticed it and thought that we were gonna have a day like that, where it was gonna possibly have showers and be cloudy some of the time. See, Jeff's another one that looks like, and some guys will wear a cover over that actually a tear off that they might have started with something a little darker than that over that, but as the clouds rolled in, then they were able to adjust with the clear shield.
I've also seen other drivers, Carl Edwards one of them, that will actually wear sunglasses under a clear shield. Gives them a lot of flexibility when this happens.
Well, our red flag is over. We are now under a caution situation, our 5th. The red flag was 29 minutes in length, and we are going to get to, not maybe this lap, but not too shortly, pit lane is going to open. What's going to be the call there, crew chief?
Well, you're going to be looking at the radar, and I don't have access to it right now, but I think you would think these guys do, and there'll probably be some gamblers that'll stay out, that'll try to make it another, maybe even 10 laps or so that they can run on fuel. And, if you think it's going to go all the way, this is the time to pit because you can probably make it from here.
Well, we heard Brian Patty say, remember he stopped earlier with the 42. He only has 6 laps maximum that he was talking about before they'd have to stop.
Yeah, you can see right now this is Gil Martin with Kevin Harvick's team. He's trying to figure out what to do.
And I don't think anybody's inside the window. We haven't seen anybody go 35 laps.
Well, 35 laps might be just outside that window, but if they can save a little fuel, they might be able to make it. And we really haven't seen anybody push the fuel mileage. We've seen them pit for tires and short pit, but nobody's really pushed fuel.
Andy, I was just listening to Steve Letarte and talking to Jeff Gordon this morning. They're second in points, and they said, if we want to, we can gamble. We can gamble because we really want to win a race. And in fact, Jeff said, I'd rather be 7th in the points and have 2 wins than second and have no wins. Now, if you're these guys and looking at the radar, notice there are patches of green all around the area. What do? Do you gamble and stay out? Because you can go 15 more laps currently on the fuel they've got in the car. If the rain comes, then you're the winner.
Well, Doc, this is a perfect opportunity to gamble if they're going to do that. The problem with Jeff is they've got a good enough car to win it just about either way, and that's why this is a tough decision for them, because it's a gamble either way. They've got the best car out there, and it's probably going to be somebody else gambling against them that's going to beat them if they get beat.
Yeah, I know if I'm a driver and have that good a race car, I'm wanting to come get some tires, and they couldn't come this time, so we're going to be really, really close to the win. This is a place you can save a little fuel as a driver too. So I with that good a race car, I'd be wanting some tires and say, let's plan on this going to the end.
You can see the jet drivers out there. They are finishing up the work on the Armco barrier. Let's talk about what's going to be coming up. Obviously, our race is going longer today, but we still will be followed by SportsCenter. And coming up after the race, Carl Edwards will give his take on what happened out there on the track in the pit studio. We'll obviously have more with the race winner and additional post-race interviews. So even though we're going a little long, that's what's coming up on ESPN SportsCenter.
Well, Carl Edwards is going to have some good comments. He's been in the middle of a lot of hard racing today, so interesting to hear his take on it.
To put a period on Elliott Sadler's day and how bad it was today versus how good it was yesterday, this will be the first time Elliott has DNF'd here in 24 races. He's always been around at the finish, but not today.
He's just a victim of that last crash, but man, that was a hard lick.
So now we're going to find out who comes and who stays out. As pit lane is still closed. And
see the damage on Clint Bowyer's car on the right front there. His right front's down.
And they're still waving the flag, so it won't be open this lap. But see, Clint Bowyer really needs to get down pit road regardless, because I think what they're probably trying to do is trying to stay out if it rains, try to keep this track position, because if you look where where he's running, he's 13th on the track.
But if that thing shreds, it could rip up the whole fender.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and bite the bullet here and come in and get this fixed.
So remember, he had fought his way as high as 8th. What an incredible comeback.
Now, the only penalty here, the pit road is closed, but they can pit. They always have to take the penalty and start in the rear. But in this situation, they didn't have any choice.
So a great day building for Clint Bowyer had a setback now because of the incident that brought out our 5th caution and our first red flag. And more importantly, right now, because of this move, Mark Martin slides back into the 12th and final spot by 2 points.
Yeah, 33 teams hoping this thing will go green to the end, scheduled distance, and they're going to fix this car and hopefully make up some of these spots and claw their way back into the top 12.
I guarantee you Mark's not even thinking about that right now. No. He just wants to get as much out of this as he can. He's running in 7th position.
There's Richard Childers. He's sending somebody a text message to say, somebody tell me what this weather's going to do. So we know what kind of strategy we need.
Yeah, and we heard Jamie Murray's, we were talking to him. These other drivers are thinking just how wild this restart's going to be, too, as we get down here trying to get time to win this race.
All right, we're hearing from NASCAR. We're going to go one more time around before they open pit road. So that means we'll have 32 and 31 laps. That is right on the cusp
they can make that.
Of being able to go.
Most of the leaders can make that. So, if they were looking at this radar and it looks clean, you got to make this pit stop and go to the end right here.
All right, well, while we've got this moment, because they're going to go around this 2.5 mile oval one more time, we brought up the issue of safety. How does NASCAR go through its post-race analysis? And for that, let's check in at the Craftsman Tech Garage with Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Marty. One of the things that NASCAR does right here in this area beside the driver, they've got a box right here. What's going to happen tomorrow at the research and Development Center in Concord, North Carolina. They're going to take that box out of the car, and what they're going to do, they're going to measure the amount of G-force. How fast the car was running when it came off the racetrack, how fast the car was running when it hit the wall itself, and I guarantee you they're going to find out that the car went backwards at a high rate of speed also. But by doing that, they ensure themselves, as far as the monitoring the car, the structure itself, they have measuring points, but they can take that box out, measure the G-force, the amount of impact that was sustained when the car hit the wall, and they're going to learn more about the structure of the car and how it was moved around, the pickup points that they measure by all the information they gather from that black box.
That's good information, Tim. That is what NASCAR uses to record these impacts, and that's one of the things that's helped make these cars safer. They know when they measure these things what they're dealing with, and then they can make all the other safety systems withstand that.
All right, we were talking with the crew chiefs earlier down on pit road. Let's listen in on the radio between Steve Letarte and Jeff Gordon.
Man, dude, I hate it for you. I know this is not putting you in the position to have a lot of fun making this decision.
That's all right. When they open it, I'll make one.
Sounds like they're still deciding. Well, he's not going to play his hand anyway until it's time. And he's watching the laps click. That every time that thing clicks another lap, it's another part of his decision.
So next time by will be 31. You're going to have at least one more full lap. That brings you down to 30, and we've seen a lot of cars being able to go 30 laps.
I think all of them can, honestly. Marty, I just haven't seen anybody have to push the fuel mileage. They've been coming in all day for tires, but I'm not sure that anybody's pushed mileage.
And is 2 tires a consideration here?
Absolutely is. I mean, we've seen it. For some people, and I just don't, I'm just like Jeff. I hate it for you, Steve. You're going to have to make a really tough call here. I like 4 tires. I'd like to see him put 4 tires. I said this last week, and Montoya goes out there and crashes out. But I still like 4 tires today for Jeff Gordon.
Hey, Rusty, you said 2 tires was going to win this race. I heard you this morning on NASCAR Now.
But I did say that, but I'm going to change my mind. Okay. I'm going to change my mind. I watched the guys earlier, and about 15 laps in the run, they were nowhere, with 2 tires, the 16 car of Greg Biffle and the 17 of Matt Kenseth. That's what I was kind of judging off the guys. That did not look good, so hey, this guy does have a strong car. This track is slippery and slimy still. I'm going to go with the 4 tires, guys.
Hey, you know what, though, Andy? All right, something you said earlier in the broadcast is ringing with me right now, looking at Jeff Gordon and some of these guys at the front of the line. You said 2 tires doesn't work as well with a car that's not handling good, but some of these guys with good handling cars, maybe it's a better option.
Well, I can't steal that. That's Dale Jarrett's one. Is
that DJ? Okay.
Just a question if we take right to 4.
And there it is. We just missed a little bit of that negotiation.
Well, he said rights or 4 is now the call, so it makes it sound like they are coming. Of course, that could be another fake because they know everybody monitors all the radios. And they'll get everybody up on the wall, and we'll find out next time by because the pit will open next time.
Looking at the sky, like I said, I can't see the radar, but the sky looks pretty good. I think they're planning on this thing going to the end. And this is right. Everybody's going to have to make this pit stop if they are inside the window. So just have to see whether they take 2 or 4.
Hey, Andy.
Yes, sir.
Don't look at the radar because the radar says it's raining here right now.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't have it down. Y'all might have it down there. We don't have it up here.
What's it look like out the window up there?
Pretty good, actually.
Yeah, well, but we're looking at the wrong direction. It comes from behind us.
Well, these guys have got 23 laps in their tires, it looks like. Jeff Gordon, the leader, last pitted at 146. So, I mean, 2 tires, that'd be a gamble after what we saw earlier with the guys really going backwards.
Well, but last week, 2 tires won the race. I mean, that's what makes these calls so interesting for us as fans and acid burners in the stomachs of crew chiefs.
Marty, the only thing I would say different about this week and last week is last week's a whole different style of racetrack. That the asphalt is smoother, it's different. Aerodynamics is so important, it's unreal. This is a track where grip is everything, so we'll see something.
4 tires. 4 tires. Get the car to win it here. 4 tires.
There you heard the call. Let's go to Mike.
And the job doesn't get any easier for crew chief Brian Patty. He was heavily scrutinized last week after making the call for 4 tires at Indianapolis. It proved not to be the right call. This time, though, he brings his man down pit road. They work on the right side. They take a can of fuel. They swing around to the left. A 4-tire change in the 42, Doc.
And they're going to do what Dale Jarrett said. They got a good car and a good driver. They're going to put it in his hands with 4 tires. Jamie.
And Tony Stewart on the bottom of your screen. The call is 4 tires. They're sticking with their call. You see Carl Edwards get out in front of him. They're calling for down there extra time. Tony Stewart's still in the box and he loses positions. Guys, Greg Biffle, 1 off pit road with 2 tires.
Wow, this is going to be interesting. Look at this. Some of these cars took no tires.
Yeah.
Newman up 16 spots. Gordon loses 9, taking 4. Stewart loses 5, taking 4. Oh, is
my goodness,
going to be a shootout?
It's going to be good.
My. Woo! Don't leave, folks. 27 cars on the lead lap. Greg Biffle again taking 2. And look at how close this is. Biff's got him. Then it'll be the 99, Mark Martin, Dave Reagan, Joey Logano.
A lot of cars before you see Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, this is
so much my 4-tire call again, huh?
Now remember, obviously, the double file restart helps those guys that are going to be further back.
Man, we just thought it was crazy earlier.
Yeah, those were some of the most amazing restarts I thought I'd seen.
Stand by.
Yeah, this is going to get real interesting very quickly. Steve Letarte, is he second guessing himself right here?
No, I think he feels pretty good about it.
Well,
yeah, you heard right there. Feels pretty good.
You heard him say, "We got the race car to win. Let's go for 4."
Yeah, his biggest thing right now is going to be dodging something that happens up in front of him, I think, you know.
All right, let's go back and take a look at Jeff's pit stop.
Yeah, the key thing is, you're going to take 4, you're going to lose some spots, but you got to make a good 4-tire stop. Try to get you lose as little as possible, because you know some guys are going to gamble. You want to make sure you don't lose any spots to guys that took 4. It's like a pretty clean stop for 24.
Let's see how the right side looked.
The right sides are pretty equal. The right rear just a tick off, but that's kind of the way it is. That right rear guy has to take just a little longer to get to the car. He has to chase it. The front tire changer can actually wait on the car to get to him, but then the rear tire changer is a tick behind because he has to chase the car.
Okay, remember when Sam Hornish Jr. was like a lap down and at one point 2 laps down? Guess who stayed out and is the race leader?
Okay, he's the big gambler right here.
Yes, that was like with 38 laps to go. You know, remember I made that mention when they got the lucky dog that they were cutting their car off after they got theirs coming down the front straightaway before it went back to green. So
yeah, their last pit stop was on lap 160. So that would be 40 laps for him to try to make on fuel. Not likely he can do that, but he's gambling on him. Hey, we get some rain. It started raining right now. Look who's the smartest guy in the house.
Let's listen on Jeff Gordon's radio.
That's going to work. That 16 and 17 couldn't even keep up, man. There's 30 to go. This isn't no half-mile track. That's a long way.
That's saying it with authority.
That's right. I mean, he's exactly right, too. Yeah, the only thing that can get them right here is either rain or an accident in front of them that gets them caught up. They made the right call.
Steve talking to him right there. All right, let's take a look at this. Here's the pit crew comparisons.
Yeah, you can see right there a 13.4 second stop. He lost just a little time to Stewart. He didn't, he lost those 9 positions, and but he, the key thing is he's, he did lose a spot to Stewart. So that's my point. If you lose spots to 4-tire guys, that's not acceptable. You're going to lose a few to the 2-tire guys and the no-tire guys, but don't want to lose those to other cars taking 4.
All right, let's talk a little bit about restart. Alan, what do you got down there?
Yeah, Marty, I'm just thinking back to the last couple of races on these double file restarts. And something to watch for with Jeff Gordon when we get the green is if he gets boxed in. And some of the guys around him, like Kevin Harvick, who's going to be alongside him, and some of the guys not far behind him, like Denny Hamlin and Jimmy Johnson. Watch the first 2 laps after this restart. If some of those guys get by Gordon, he's done.
Well, it could go the other way, too. What I was thinking, Alan, is there's some cars in front of them with no tires. I mean, they could sail down into turn 1. Those guys slip and slide a little bit. Gordon's on the bottom of the track already. Pick up the throttle, and it'd be a 4-wide race off of turn 1. But it can go either way.
Yeah, just thinking about a pattern we've seen, though, in some of these late scrambles in some of these races, is if you can keep an eye on that 24 car in traffic in the first 2 laps, if some of these guys like Harvick and Hamlin get around him in the jam-up, then he's got a lot of work to do to get by those guys, Marty, DJ, and Andy, before he can deal with the guys who played this strategy in front of him.
It's some great points. All right, let's reset this for you because it's going to be Sam Hornish, who could be a sitting duck. He's going to be the race leader with Biffle alongside. Then Edwards and Martin in row 2. Then Reagan and Logano. Truex, Ryan Newman. Then 9th and 10th are Stuart Menard. Gordon is back to 11th with Harvick right alongside, and 13th is Hamlin. 14th is Montoya. Let's listen in on the radio.
You said we were coming in. There's 13 laps on the left tire, so I thought we were doing 2 tires. I said 4. We were on pit road. I said 4 tires of gas, guys. Then don't talk about the left tires, this amount of times on the left tires, because I thought you were doing 2 tires. Did I confirm 4 tires or anything? No, I didn't. Did it make sense to take 4 tires? No, it didn't.
And guys, it certainly seems like there may be some trust issues lingering from Indianapolis. I spoke with Brian Patty earlier this weekend. He said he didn't really have a significant conversation with his driver this week. He did admit he sent him a text, but other than that, they really didn't talk about what happened in Indy, and it certainly seems like things have lingered.
Well, and what's also lingering is rain. We've just got the word NASCAR just put the yellow flag back out, and so we'll have to wait and see what happens. While we've got a moment, let's talk about what's going to be coming up as our ticket to the race. Our next stop, obviously, is Watkins Glen International next week. All you have to do if you want to join us at the track, log on to NASCAR.com/tickets. You can see the schedule from the Glen. We go to Michigan, on to Bristol for the night race. Oh, it's going to be fun, followed by Atlanta and Richmond, and on through New Hampshire, Dover, Kansas, Auto Club, into Charlotte. Don't forget also, we are going to have Sports Center coming up right after our race. We'll have our standard post-race coverage, plenty of interviews with drivers and get their take on exactly what happened, as well as the other sports news of the day. Well, we've seen Greg Biffle take 2 tires now 3 different occasions, and Mike, let's check in.
Yeah, it's been a full day's work for crew chief Greg Irwin for sure. This car was not perfect from the get-go, but somehow with strategy, you're the leader here in the closing laps. How do you feel about things?
Yeah, it's been a fight. We feel pretty good about it. Obviously, track position's big, and we learned our lesson last week. Track position's everything, and just making small changes to the car. I think the weather's played into our hands here just a little bit. 3M Fusion getting it done, and this pit crew did a great job there getting him out with that 2-tire stop. So it could come down to that.
How is the car handling now?
The last couple runs seem to be pretty good. Restarts well. He's able to run both grooves, gets through the tunnel okay, which has been a pretty big improvement from the start of the race. So we'll see what happens.
This would be a big win for Greg Irwin. He grew up not too far from here. He's a Pennsylvania boy.
Yeah, it would be a bigger win for Sam Hornish. Now, he's had 11 plus, soon to be 12 laps of caution since he pitted. So the question is, how far can the 77 go, and can he hold on with all those guys coming up behind him?
Well, he's hoping they won't go green.
He just saw the windshield wipers on the pace car. That's never a good sign.
Well, we are still under yellow here, and the laps continue to wind down. We will have 26 to go this time by. So for all those guys that did stop, I don't think fuel is going to be an issue anymore.
No, I don't think it is either. I don't even think it's going to be an issue for Sam Hornish if it goes the distance, because he has been saving fuel, and then all these caution laps. He's hoping he doesn't have to prove it, though. He can stay out here and keeps raining.
Yeah, this is a situation time-wise now that, if it happens to get a hard shower right at this point, then, we're not going to be able to get this started back.
We talked about the visors already and the clear for Mark Martin. And, boy, you look there at Kevin. I'm wondering how good his vision really is.
Yeah, nothing against Sam Hornish, but I really won't get this started back. This is the restarts we've seen before were fantastic, and now with the race on the line, I couldn't wait to see what all may take place here.
We can see on the lens of our camera there are some raindrops, so obviously we are going to continue, and we'll just have to wait and see as exactly how long we'll continue this process. If perhaps maybe this rain will dissipate. I'm telling you, folks, I'm not lying to you here. The clouds that are above us are very high in the sky. It's not like they're the low, heavy, rain-filled clouds that we sometimes see. If you're wondering about Sam Hornish, when was the last time he led? He actually led one lap last week at Indianapolis. It's the 4th race he's actually led in 2010, but he has just not been able to seal the deal. And just last week before the Brickyard 400, he was talking about his future, saying he did want to stay in NASCAR. Future for this team is up in the air. They do not have a sponsor for this 77 as of now. And speaking of the 77, Dr. Jerry Punch is with his crew chief, Travis Geisler.
Marty, what a day it has been for this team. They got the lucky dog. They were able to get back on the lead lap, and then Travis called the driver in, called Sam in with, 39 laps to go, pitted and said, we're done. Now, you're gambling. Will it pay off?
I think either way, this is the right call for us. You know, even if this goes green, we put ourselves in a really good position. We know with all these pace laps, we're going to be fine on fuel. So I think it was the right move for us. And, you know, the last 4 races here have been pretty good for us. Hopefully we can pull it off today with a PPD Dodge.
Your radar shows more rain than others. Why is that?
I got the motor tuner stopwatch on it, I guess. You know, it's raining pretty good in front of us right now, the way I look at it. But, you know, either way, this is a testament to how hard everybody on this team has fought today. No matter what happens, we put ourselves in position here, and Sam fought hard all day with a car that hasn't been very good. So hopefully we'll get ourselves what we need here.
Do you have some local Pennsylvania knowledge advantage here on the weather?
I'm from the other side of the state, so our weather pattern's totally different. But I'm hoping that being from my hometown here a little bit from the state-wise, it'll help me out.
All right, Travis Geisler trying to be able to roll the dice and maybe steal one here for Sam Hornish. Remember, we said, folks, not always the fastest car wins at Pocono. It comes down to strategy in the final laps.
All right, Doc, thanks. Travis Geisler from Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania, which is over by Pittsburgh, second-generation racer. His father, a well-known racer on the Pennsylvania short tracks for many years. And as we watch, I can't help but have this running through my mind. Is Sam Hornish about to steal this win? Because I'm looking at the radar, and I'm not so sure we're going to see some more racing here. And in a way, I hope we do. In another way, if we don't, what a job by that team to put their guy in position if it works out that way.
If it rains, hey, they outfox them. That happens a lot. I've won a bunch of races in rain problems and stuff like that. But you just told me a little while ago, Sam Hornish is going to win this thing. It's done.
Hey, look, I don't want to see Sam Hornish win that way. I want to see him coming down, both guns blazing. This is going to be one heck of a restart if we get an opportunity for this, just because we've got cars with no tires. We got 2 tires. We got 4 tires. The fast cars are all in the back. It'll be unbelievable restart.
And that's the key right there, what you just said, Brad. No tires, 2 tires, 4 tires, because, man, when it gets deep into the run like this, it's really gangs them up on top of each other, and that's when we see more cautions. And then cautions breed cautions. I hope it doesn't happen, but really, with 24 laps to go, guys, we almost got a full run to go here, just like Steve Letarte said.
It's clearing up, too. It's clearing up. Look, that's clearing up. We're going to get this in.
It is going to be interesting to see what happens if we do or if we don't. Now, what I said to you before is just looking at some of the radar and that kind of thing and listening on the scanner to some of the team radios and reports from around the track. I said, I looked at you and kind of had that, Sam Hornish is going to win this race. And he's going to win this race if it doesn't go back green.
Oh, it's going green. I can see it. It's lightening up. It's getting lighter.
Don't be backtracking on me now. I'm
not
listening.
Backtracking. All right, I won't pull a Brad on you. I'll stand on my guns. Andy, bail me out here. What do you think is going to happen here?
Well, I don't know. I thought it was going to go green, but, it looks like it is raining a little bit everywhere. And, man, it sure does make Travis Geisler look a whole lot smarter, doesn't it?
Well, it is not uncommon for Team Penske. I know over at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 500, they would literally have a helicopter up, and they would be tracking the storm visually from their own helicopter. And I'm sure it's been done over on the NASCAR side of the equation as well. And what better source than literally right there in it? So as they continue to rack up the pace laps and we come back topside, we've just about worn out every possible situation. But the one thing I want to ask you, put yourself in Sam Hornish's position. I know you've been there. And then take me down to, let's say, Jeff Gordon, who was the leader but now finds himself literally outside the top 10.
Yeah, been there too, unfortunately. But yeah, Sam Hornish, he's praying for rain. That's his only chance really to win this race. And that's not taken away from his ability. It's just they don't have the car today. But they have manufactured a way to possibly steal a race here. And you take these races, as hard as they are to come by, any way that you can get them. Jeff Gordon, on the other hand, he's seen this year 4 or 5 times that they've had the best race car and just have not been able to put it into victory lane yet.
Well, here at Pocono, Jeff Gordon, we mentioned it earlier, he was the last one to win one of the 5 rain-shortened races as they ran just past halfway. Bill Elliott, who has 5 wins, leads everybody in that category here at Pocono, ran 175. Rusty, you stole one also back there in 1991. They lost us.
definitely the hardest hit I've ever had in a race car. Just a tough day.
From that point, a round of pit strategy has shuffled the field. Sam Hornish Jr.'s team coming back from being laps down to the head of this field. Played some strategy to get out in front. Then it started raining. They parked the field on pit road, but now
we're going racing. I can't stand it. It's going to be great.
They're sending
this is going to be great.
And the safety equipment back to their stations. The pace cars return to the front of the field, and we're about to see these cars rolled back out onto the Pocono Raceway for the concluding 23 laps. Couple of points here. Jeff Gordon, who was in command of the race when this round of pit strategy happened, is sitting back in the 11th spot for this restart. Tony Stewart, the first guy with 4 tires on the pit stop, is sitting in the 10th spot for the restart. And Gordon, through the number of laps the field ran behind the pace car while they were kind of trying to wait out the rain, has lost some time to get back to the front of the field.
Yes, he has. He's lost 7 laps from when the caution flag came up before. 30 laps is when all this stuff happened. 30 to go. Now it's 23 laps to go. But there's a lot of fire in his belly, I can tell you that right now. And I expect 4 wide down into turn 1 and maybe 5 wide off a turn 2.
Yeah, because of the double file restart and because of what we're anticipating happening on this start, that could all go away and give Jeff Gordon an opportunity to advance himself and put himself back in position to dominate again.
So the field going to gather up behind the pace car. When they come back to the start-finish line, they'll get the signal that in 1 more lap we'll go racing. That'll be with 22 to go, and they'll get the green flag with 21 laps to go in this race. Wow. Sam Hornish Jr. is the leader. He's chosen the outside lane for the restart. He did not pit on this most recent caution. He has older tires than the other drivers he's going to be running against. Greg Biffle in that 3M car, the 16 machine. He was the first off pit road with right side tires only. And you got to go a ways back to find Jeff Gordon in the 11th spot as the former dominant driver in this race. Now, some guys up front we haven't seen up front all day, like, Joey Logano, for example, and that guy, David Reagan in the 6, Mike.
Yeah, and I'm with his crew chief, Donnie Wingo, and you guys elected to take fuel only. That said, what do you expect on this restart? Old tires, you got some new tires behind you, 2 tires in front of you.
Yeah, we stopped the caution before. We only got 2 laps on the right side. You know, it's our best shot to get up front here at the end, and you never know what's going to happen at the end of one of these races. So with only about 20 laps to go, we'll just see what we got.
What do you expect on this restart?
I mean, it's going to be wild. You know, if we can just maintain our own here and kind of get spread out a little bit, I think we'll be fine.
I think he's right, Alan, and I think we're all excited to see what's going to happen.
So to just wind that quote back from Donnie Wingo just a second ago, you never know what's going to happen at the end of these races. They will be dramatic. Yeah. They will be exciting. At times, they've been a little frightening.
Yeah.
And we'll see how these final 21 laps will play out in this thing as the field comes to the start-finish line and gets the signal in 1 more lap. We go back racing at Pocono. Let's send it upstairs to Marty Reed, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm anxious to find out.
And I think everybody is, Alan, and the fans are on their feet, and they were cheering wildly as the cars rolled by. And now, obviously, we've gone well past our normal scheduled time. Everybody who's tuned in, maybe, perhaps, you haven't been with us for a while, but this is about as exciting as it is going to get, because the last few restarts after cautions have literally been knocked down dragouts. It's going to be Sam Hornish Jr. on point, then Greg Biffle, Mark Martin, Carl Edwards in row 2, Joey Logano, David Reagan in row 3, Ryan Newman, Martin Truex 7th and 8th, Paul Menard, Tony Stewart 9th and 10th, and rounding out the top 12 will be Harvick, Montoya, and now Jeff Gordon shown in 13th position.
When that green flag comes out, it's going to be have at it, boys.
Lights are out on the pace car. And next time by, 21 laps to go on this 2.5-mile triangle. We've talked how tricky it can be. I think it's just going to get downright nasty here for the last few laps.
Oh, I tell you what, we had a great crowd here today, and all these restarts, they've been, treated to some really good excitement, but the ones that have stuck around are all on their feet right now, anticipating exactly what we are. A lot of fun right here.
We have had it. It was a great crowd. In fact, the word from officials, the campground we mentioned at the very beginning of the broadcast, about 4.5, 5 hours ago, 30% larger crowd in the infield camping area. There gives you an idea of just how many are still there. And as they come through turn number 3, you can hear the crowd in the background. as the pace car will get ready to pull down onto pit road. Sam Hornish in the 77. He's got the older tires. He stayed out. Greg Biffle has 2 tires. There are cars further back with 4. We're going to find out. Green flag flies, and we're racing again at Pocono. Hang on.
Got contact. Well, we didn't talk much about Mark Martin, but don't count him out in this mix.
That long straightaway, it's almost 3/4 of a mile long into the corner. Biffle on the low side.
He hits that
bump.
Getting the run off the corner.
Yeah, Carl Edwards really loose down on the inside.
Martin Truex picked up a couple of spots. Look at him, he's right behind Edwards.
Here we go.
Jimmy Johnson going way low in the 48 on the right side there, almost into the mud. Right alongside the 11 of Denny Hamlin.
Look at Tony Stewart
for the lead.
All this action going on all over the track, and Biffle's got the lead from Sam Hornish Jr. Harvick got around Gordon a little bit further back. There's a 3-wide action. Through turn 3 again. This
Sam
time
Hornish.
by 20 laps to go, and Hornish is hanging in there.
Yeah, he's not ready to give this up quite yet.
Let's go 3 wide. You've got Jeff Gordon on the inside. Look at the push. Montoya is giving the 20 of Logano.
And this looks like a Talladega race.
Yeah, the problem is we don't have that 33-degree bank.
No, it's flat when they get there.
Little smoke from the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Look at Johnson trying to go underneath Gordon. The teammates side by side. They've had their issues off and on this year. They're going to
3 wide.
Make Joey Logano and say bye-bye. They split him. There's Jamie McMurray, Jeff Burton, who had a great car early in this race. He's trying to fight his way back into the mix.
And Hamlin gets a good run off the tunnel turn.
Montoya and Menard side by side.
See Johnson trying to make that inside work. He's going to try to go to the inside of Paul Menard, who's beside Juan Pablo Montoya. 3 wide off of turn 3.
Down the stretch. Look at the 48 on the inside there.
Hamlin all the way to the inside.
Hamlin's got just enough underneath the 48. Careful. No contact. He gets out of it.
Boy, look at the run that Jimmy Johnson gets off of turn 1.
Here comes Hamlin, too. He's got a nice run. Is he going to push or try to pass?
Looks like he's going to try the pass. Down the inside. 48 tucks up underneath Jeff Gordon. Here comes Hamlin side by side, taking the position away from the 48.
See, Johnson's going to try to go back underneath, but that 11 car is too strong for that.
And who is loving all of this? Greg Biffle up front. He's opened up an 0.8 of a second lead over Sam Hornish.
He's running the fastest laps of the race right now. These cool conditions, intensity level is high. Greg Biffle is getting it done, Mike.
Oh, he absolutely is. And this reminds me of a conversation I had with his crew chief, Greg Irwin, this morning. I asked him, what did you learn here in June? And he said 2 things. We need to be better on fuel mileage, but most importantly, we need to be better on restarts. We need speed early in a run. We didn't have that in June. We made sure we built that into the setup of this race car so that we would not get bitten by that again. Obviously, from the looks of that restart, they've taken off pretty good.
While you finished up, you saw Denny Hamlin on the left side get around Juan Pablo Montoya. Biffle trying to get Ford its first win of 2010.
See David Reagan there in the 6 car. He's holding on nicely with that UPS Ford. Gordon's trying to dispose of him right now, though.
Jeff dives underneath him and looks like he's going to clear him. So Gordon, remember, he restarted back in 13th. He's now moved up to the 9th position. Next time by, 17 laps to go.
We've got a lot of sorry, Marty. We got a lot of racing left. 18 laps, a long way to go here. Jeff Gordon's still got a lot of time left to make these passes and make his way up there.
About 45 miles worth, thereabouts. Here goes Denny Hamlin under Reagan. So Reagan starting to slide backwards. There's Jimmy Johnson underneath the 42 of Montoya. That is 4 positions side by side. They are duking it out for 12th. While all this goes on, here comes Menard trying to get in the mix. You're not missing anything up front. Biffle has now opened up a 1.8 second lead over Sam Hornish Jr. And for the ailing Jack Roush at the Mayo Clinic, that's the best news. That's music to his ears.
Oh, he's loving this. I guarantee he's watching.
Let's check in with Carl Edwards, another one of his drivers. That is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. You got Hornish, followed by Carl, followed by Tony Stewart.
Hornish doing a great job staying out here in front of these guys and making the most of their strategy play.
His career best finish was here last year, 4th. And here comes Mark Martin trying to get into the mix. And there comes Kevin Harvick. Remember, we always talk about how by the end of the race, he keeps creeping back into the mix. Down the Long Pond Straight. Let's check in on Jeff Gordon. He is now up to 9th, as we pointed out. He's got Ryan Newman in his sights.
It's a good run up off the tunnel turn.
Yeah, and where Jeff is, he can't waste any time in making these passes on these guys. He has to get himself in a position where each corner, when he catches them, he's got to go by them. See if he can get it run off of turn 3 here on Ryan Newman.
He is 5.4 seconds behind the race leader, trying to get around the 39 of Ryan Newman. Down that long front straightaway. Looks like Denny Hamlin's going to try and go on the high side. Newman says, whoa, either side I look, I got cars all around me.
Wow, what a power move
Look
there.
at Hamlin go.
Boy, Hamlin just takes both spots. Let's go back to the battle for second, because Hornish has got his mirrors full of Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart. Here comes Tony on the high side of the 99.
Yeah, as Carl tried to make that pass on Sam Hornish, Tony took advantage of that, went to the outside, see if he can complete the pass, and he does down in turn 2.
So move Tony Stewart up to 3rd. Biffle's lead now 2.7 seconds. The rocket ship up front belongs to that man right there, Greg Biffle. They have worked that 2-tire strategy all day long. It's the 3rd time they've done it. Here comes Harvick. Kevin, the points leader, right now in 6th, and he is running some great laps as he is watching what's going on in front of him.
He's got this side-by-side battle of Mark Martin and Carl Edwards. He's going to try to catch a draft off of these two, and he's catching them.
Mark taking the low line in the 5 underneath Carl Edwards. Can he get the job done? It's awfully rough down there. You can see the car just moving all over the place.
And Biffle just continues to run the fastest laps of anybody out there. He's just setting sail. These guys all have to pass somebody, and Greg Biffle doesn't have to pass anybody. He's just got the clean air.
To give you an idea, Biffle's last lap, 54.9 seconds. Second place Hornish, 55.7. That's huge.
Yeah, the closest that we saw to that on that last lap was Denny Hamlin at 55.02, and that's still slower than what the leader's running.
You saw Jeff Burton, there he is, taking a look underneath the 6 of David Reagan. He looks like he's going to be able to take that spot, and he does, so give Burton the 12th position on the racetrack. His next target will be Jimmy Johnson. This is unbelievable. Greg Biffle has got himself a race car, 3.8 seconds, and Stewart can do nothing with Hornish to get around him. Denny Hamlin's got Martin Truex right in front of him. That is for 7th. Here comes Harvick.
Making that move on the outside of Mark Martin.
Makes it look easy, too. So move Harvick up into the 5th spot. Boy, look at that performance right now. 3.8 seconds. A great run for Sam Hornish. Remember, his tires are much older than everybody behind him. Whoa, look out, Greg. That's a little close to the wall. This freight train includes Hornish, Stewart, Edwards, Harvick, Mark Martin, Martin Truex back there. Truex has got his hands full with Denny Hamlin. There comes Jimmy Johnson. He's going underneath the 39. And it looks like he's going to be able to take the position from Newman, but Ryan says, not so fast. Let's see what we can do at the end of this corner. And it looks like the Army car is going to hang on to it, at least for now.
Yeah, he'll have the preferred line as they get down to turn 2, though. Should be able to complete the pass here.
They're going to have some company, though. That 31 car, Jeff Burton, is definitely catching them.
How about if we check in on Juan Pablo Montoya in the 98 of Menard? That is for 14th on the racetrack.
Well, that's the one thing that we've seen the last 2 weeks with this 42 car. When it gets back in traffic, it just doesn't work very well.
And how about Kyle Busch? Remember, he had a piece of sheet metal underneath near the radiator come off earlier, brought out one of our cautions, and he is coming up through here. And here comes the 12 of Brad Keselowski. Keselowski found himself a lap down in this mix, fouled his way back onto the lead lap. He's now running in 17th. And there's Clint Bowyer. Remember when Bowyer got all the way up as high as 8th position and now has got himself back into at least a respectable finish, but he had that problem earlier with the contact.
Yeah, he was just involved in that big crash that we had. He got some contact from Kurt Busch, and they fixed the car, and then he started to make his way back up, slowly but surely.
And with this move, he puts himself back into that 12th and final position in the chase, ahead of Mark Martin. Boy, I am so impressed with Sam Hornish right now.
Me too. That's probably the surprise of this group, is how well he's able to perform against these cars. These are good cars during the race that he really wasn't able to run with, and now he's outrunning all of them.
10 laps to go. 25 miles of racing in this 500-mile race, and the lead is now 5 seconds with Biffle ahead of that man right there, Sam Hornish Jr.
Yeah, Sam's doing a terrific job there in second, but I'm impressed with Greg Biffle taking this car with these 2 tires. I mean, it's been most of the time somewhere 7th or 10th place car, and now he's just stretching his lead out.
Well, he took 4 tires last week at Indianapolis and came up just a little bit short. But he learned something there, though.
Yeah.
He learned what 2 tires would do.
Kevin Harvick has gotten up to the back bumper of Carl Edwards. This is the battle for 4th. Harvick's got a run on him.
Yeah, literally to the back bumper. He's all over that bumper of Carl Edwards.
He can read those Aflac decals really well. Loses a little
Here
bit.
comes Tony trying to take second now.
Yep, Sam Hornish may have to surrender here. Tony Stewart goes down on the inside as they head down to turn number 1 from high above. You can see all 4 cars, and here comes Carl Edwards. He's going to take a peek as well, and Harvick's going to probably follow. And all of a sudden, Sam Hornish has gone from second and what could be back to as far as 5th.
Yeah, it just seemed like that last time he slipped a little bit, Tony was able to get underneath him, and that just breaks your momentum. That allowed those 3 cars to all get by him, but still a good run.
Well, what was it? He had about 11 more laps on his tires. Look how many laps we have left. 9 to go. So maybe the tires just finally gave up on him. As there is Jeff Gordon trying to reel in the rest of this field. Now remember, Gordon restarted 13th. He is now shown in 8th position, but the laps are winding down, and it doesn't look like anybody has anything for Greg Biffle. What a story this could be for Ford. Not winning yet in 2010, and Biffle on a 65-race winless streak.
Saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. out there slow. Sounds like he may be down a cylinder.
Well, the last thing Greg Biffle wants to see right now is a caution. His lead is now 5.7 seconds. He is just destroying this field. Now, this is not a guy who dominated this race, folks. I mean, he's led all of 20 laps. He is one of our 9 different leaders. We've had 19 lead changes today, but boy, since we went back to green flag racing, nobody can touch him.
Well, the racetrack went through a little bit of a transition there when we had that red flag. A little bit of rain. It definitely cooled it off, and it could have just really played into Greg Biffle's hands of the way his car was set up. See, now Hamlin makes the pass on Sam Hornish.
And here comes Mark Martin as well. So Sam putting up the great fight, but just doesn't have the tires to hang on any further. And here comes Jimmy Johnson trying to fight his way back, and can't do it because Jeff Burton's got the spot, and Burton is now 10th, bumped Jimmy back to 11th.
Can't believe just how much that clean air is worth. Greg Biffle is outrunning Jeff Gordon, who was the best car, by 1/2 a second to 3/4 of a second a lap. And Greg Biffle just took 2 tires on the last stop. Jeff Gordon took 4, which, I was all for, but I think after a while we'll finally get it.
We're going to get off of that, aren't we?
2 weeks in a row, we've seen 2 tires just really be an absolute, advantage, just having that clean air.
Everything's calmed down, at least for the moment. As you can see, there's the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on the racetrack. But Kevin Harvick, our points leader, doing what he needs to do, just continues to put out good run after good run each week.
Well, what a great story this would be for Jack Roush. A very difficult week for him personally, and he's got cars right now in 1st and 3rd. They've been on a long winless streak. Been criticized a lot about the performance of his race team. This would be some great medicine, and certainly let Jack know that we're all thinking about him and wishing him the best and hope to see him back soon.
Yeah, we're talking about, Greg Biffle making a good decision strategy-wise, but these cars have been running better and better every week. I mean, they've definitely had better performance. This is just, when you have a car that'll run, you can take advantage of these kind of situations, and now their cars are really running a lot better.
You saw the cycle there. We talked about Ford. They've really not won since 23 races ago in November at Talladega, and that only 1 win in the last 54 races. The prior 54 races, Ford had won 17 times. Take a look there, and you see that the 5 is getting underneath as Mark Martin pushes the 77 of Sam Hornish back one more spot, and here comes Jeff Gordon. That is for 7th, 8th, and 9th on the track.
It looks like these tires on Gordon's car is starting to come around, but it's a little too late. Only 5 laps to go.
And we should say Mark Martin now in 6th, Sam 7th, Jeff in 8th. And Jeff's got to be wondering, whoa, look out, getting a little loose there. I was getting ready to say, Jeff's got to be wondering what he has to do to win, because before that last pit stop, he was in control of this race.
Yeah, it's kind of been the way their year has been, coming down to making decisions and having things at the end of the race take these races away from them and the opportunity they had to win.
Oh, and you see Martin Truex getting underneath Sam Hornish as well. They're side by side. Jeff Gordon has cleared him. Jeff Burton wants to take advantage of this as well. And for Hornish, he kept getting deeper and deeper after deciding not to come in on that last pit stop. If this race would have been about 11 laps shorter, he'd have, and his whole team would be celebrating right now. Unfortunately, he's got 4 more laps to go, and he's going in the wrong direction.
That or a harder rain shower would have got him, but obviously his tires are going away now. And see Jeff Burton trying to take the spot away from Martin Truex now.
And that battle is for 8th on the track. There's Jeff Gordon with Mark Martin, and the 2 Hendrick teammates are duking it out for 6th. And it looks like Gordon is going to get the position.
Mark made it easy for him here, knowing that eventually this is going to happen. Might as well just tuck him behind and try not to lose any more time.
There's Burton taking that spot away from Martin Truex. Burton's had a great car all day long. He was another, took 4 tires, got himself back there outside the top 12.
Jeff got a little tail happy coming out of the corner, manages to keep it off the wall.
After what we saw him earlier, that wasn't even sideways though, was it? Earlier in the race.
No, earlier he was really hanging it out. All right, let's check in on the race lead. There it is. It's down to 5.2 seconds. I think really looking at the lap times, Biffle realizes all he's got to do is stay clean right now. Doesn't want to push the issue. Here comes 2nd place, Tony Stewart. Then followed by Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick. Denny Hamlin, who was looking for his 3rd in a row here at Pocono, is running 5th.
Greg Biffle's got to be thinking the only thing now that can beat me is a caution. I need to save the tires on this car and maybe even give up a little bit of that lead. They're not going to pass him if it goes green all the way, but he could maybe save his stuff it a little bit for maybe a late race restart.
He can give up over a 2nd and lap and still win this thing by 2 seconds. Next time by, there will only be 2 laps remaining.
Great battle. It looked like Harvick was going to be able to get up on Carl Edwards, maybe get him a little loose and get by him about 5 laps ago, but he's still sitting pretty much in the same place he was.
The lead down to 4.5 seconds, still well in control. Harvick right now, this is the best battle we've got going on in the top 10, trying to get around the 99 of Carl Edwards. Tony Stewart has opened up a sizable margin now, a good cushion for 2nd. And Carl came off that corner better as they head into the tunnel turn. Harvick again tries to close. Across the short chute, heading for 3.
And that looks like a place that he may be a little bit better than Carl Edwards on the exit of turn 2 and a couple of these exits, but Carl seems to be better down in turn 1.
One more time, buddy.
You heard the call.
White flag, one more time, nice and smooth.
Hey, do any of you guys remember how Greg Biffle was so upset with the way his car was handling earlier in the race?
Oh, yeah.
Hollered on the radio. Him and Greg Irwin not really agreeing on it. And look at them now. Got to hand it to both of them. They've done a great job today. Oh, hang on to her, Greg.
It's been 65 races back at Dover. You saw it right there of 08 that Greg Biffle has been to victory lane.
1.5 seconds back, nice and smooth, man.
4 seconds back by our clock right here. Just one more time around turn number 3.
It was for Jack, guys.
You heard it.
Yeah, I hope Jack's watching.
Jack's got to be watching, and this is the best medicine he could have had, guys. Greg Biffle is going to bring it home and give Jack Roush his 4th win here at Pocono as he crosses the line and wins for the first time in 65 races. Tony Stewart 2nd. Edwards, Harvick, Denny Hamlin, there's your top 5 on back through the field. Gordon, Martin, Burton, Truex Jr. Is there going to be a close battle there? Hornish hangs on for 11th. Newman, Menard, Reagan. And here comes the 18. They're duking it out right to the stripe. Every position counts. All the points count. You can see McMurray edges Kyle Busch.
Awesome job, Greg Biffle. Way to go, Greg Irwin. 3M guy.
The celebration begins in the 16 pit. Let's check in with Mike Massaro.
And I've got to climb into the scrum here. Greg Irwin congratulating his whole team. High fives all the way around. This morning you told me, point blank, we missed it. We're off a little bit.
Yeah.
You rallied today. How were you able to win this thing?
I think really the work these guys did on pit road got us up front a couple times. We had a couple of really key 2-tire stops. Got us in clean air. Like I said, we got beat on it last week, and just trying to make sure we didn't get beat on it this week. And the track came to us. Thank you, Donnie.
With all the circumstances, this being Ford's first victory this year, Jack Roush not being here, how big is this for this team?
The whole company needed it, and I can't really explain what this means. Hopefully this helps Jack in his healing process. I know he's with us. I know we talked to Robbie Reiser quite a bit this morning, and honestly what I got to do, this is that brand new car we had in Indianapolis, and we turned this thing around and bring it back here because we liked it so much. So this goes out to all the guys at Roush Fenway that put their hours in. So.
Congratulations. A very happy team down here, guys. Greg Irwin and the entire Roush organization all celebrating this victory.
Rightfully so.
That's why you never give up. I mean, they weren't anywhere close to being able to win this race early in the thing, and now they pulled it off by just staying with it.
This has to give them a lot of hope and momentum as they look towards the chase. Not that they're there yet. They have a lot of work to do. But the last 2 weeks, and even before that, they had Chicago, they had a really good car before they had an engine problem. So a lot of good things happening with this. Doug Yates and his people seem to have this engine figured out. So these guys could really be a factor when we get into September.
And while the celebration continues, let's check in with Jamie Little. She's caught up with third place Carl Edwards.
He leads 1 lap today, and it's your 3rd consecutive top 10 finish. Carl, what a long day. How would you sum up today? You guys finally get in a victory lane. You have a solid finish.
It's a long day, but man, that's a Ford in victory lane. Ford makes the best cars on the road, and here at Roush Fenway Racing, we've been working really hard on these Fords, and it's cool to see Greg get that victory. That's a good run for us. That's a great points run. Got to thank Aflac and Scott's and all these fans for sticking around. But Aflac's always got me under their wing. It's cool they've been sticking behind us, and hopefully we can make a run for this chase, and maybe we can get the next win. But that's good for all of us. And get well, Jack.
Well said. Let's go over to Doc.
Okay, Tony Stewart walking up there to be able to congratulate the guy running behind him there, Carl Edwards, and give him a pat on the shoulder. Those guys raced pretty hard those final few laps. Tony began the day with a pole and finished the day with a 2nd place finish as he and Carl talk about what happened these final laps here on the racetrack. Let them finish their conversation as they got a little... Drivers want to be able to settle everything here verbally and just say hello. Tony, a big smile, patting Carl on the shoulder. And Tony, a pole to begin the day, a 2nd place finish to finish the day. What a great effort for your team.
Oh, man, I'm really proud of Darian Greb and especially the pit crew on this Office Depot Old Spice Chevy. They did an awesome job that last stop of getting us out the first car on 4 tires and getting us a chance to fight our way up there. So really proud of this run.
What a great day. What a great time of year for this team to start stepping up here as we're coming in on the chase.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we need right now. This is what we've been looking for. We just we got to keep plugging away. We're not all the way there, but we're gaining on it, and that's encouraging. So, this is the time of year where you want to be building momentum, not losing it. So I'm pretty happy with this weekend.
Indeed, he should be. Tony Stewart finishing 2nd today. Marty?
And Tony's now got top 3 finishes here at Pocono in 4 of the last 5 races. As another great run as he comes across the stripe in 2nd place, 3.5 seconds behind that man right there, Greg Biffle. Mike, let's send it your way.
Lots of happy people down here in Victory Lane celebrating a very large win, Greg. We heard your comments early in the race. You were not happy with your race car at all. How were you able to get to Victory Lane?
Greg Irwin and those guys just never gave up. This 3 and Ford Fusion engine, it was mostly engine. I mean, this engine ran so good. I abused the crap out of it all day. And this one's for Jack. We know he's watching, and we're thinking about him. But I need to thank Sprint and the fans and 3M and everybody just not giving up on this team. We've been really tough and answered all the questions about the Ford. There it is. Ford's running really good. I just wish I would have won last week, too.
We've talked about this all year long, about Ford and what it's taken to get back to victory lane. What's this year been like trying to get this car back in the winner's circle?
It's been really tough. I mean, we've worked so hard, and, RPM and all the guys have helped us over there, and it's been a team effort. The guys at the shop, everybody's been working really hard on these cars. And we had a great run at Chicago, great run at Indy. We come here and win, and it's a lot of everybody's hard work paying off right now.
It's been more than 2 years since you've been to victory lane. How big is this for you personally?
Man, I forgot what to do. This is big. I was really excited to see Elliott Sadler win yesterday in the Truck Series, and I kind of feel the same right now. We know we have a great team. I know that I can do it behind the wheel, and we were able to prove it today.
And they certainly did prove it. Greg Biffle back in victory lane for the first time since 2008, Alan.
All right, Mike, thanks, and we remind you to stay tuned. SportsCenter is next with extensive post-race coverage from here at Pocono and all the other days' sporting news. Don't forget, next weekend it's on to Watkins Glen. Saturday, the NASCAR Nationwide Series at 1:30 Eastern. Our coverage Sunday, presented by GoDaddy.com of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series for start at 1 Eastern on ESPN, preceded by NASCAR Countdown at noon Eastern Time. So again, much more to come from here at Pocono. For now, SportsCenter and Ryan Burr. Ryan?
Telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.